Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. What's up, DB?
How we doing?
Oh, we're doing all right.
Yeah. Things are good. Hanging in there.
Saw another bluey morning at your house.
Man, it's out of control.
You know, the only reason I know what that is?
Bluey?
Yeah, is apparently some people leave it on for their dogs.
Oh, dogs
during the day.
Dogs like Bluey?
Yeah, apparently they make it in colors that are more vibrant to dogs.
Like in Living?
Yes, Martin Lawrence.
No.
No? Shoot.
Oh my gosh.
Damon Wayans.
Yes, that was a Wayne's Brothers production.
Which one was Martin?
This dude said Martin Lawrence.
Which one was
He had the Martin Lawrence show
Okay.
at about the same time.
Oh my gosh. You are not listening to Pat the producer. I'm over it.
No.
He was kind of making fun of people that think it's cool to have not seen stuff that everybody else has seen.
Oh, I don't think it's cool.
It was just kind of funny. That made me think of you. There's a lot you haven't seen.
Yeah. I got some blind spots.
Well, he said Martin Lawrence. No, different black guys. You had kind of a laundry list you could have gone through.
I missed a couple there.
And
We're gonna look up In Living Color real quick.
He could have been on there at one point, like a guest or something.
He was not. He was at that time. He was busy doing Def Jam and his own show.
So the first guy that pops up is Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey was Fire Marshal Bill.
Yes, he was.
So it's like a lot of the Wayans were in there.
Let me tell you something. That was Fire Marshal Bill.
So you got Keenan, and you got Damon, and you got
And you have
Marlon,
like J-Lo.
and Sean.
Oh, yeah.
That's all the Wayneses.
Who?
All the Wayneses.
Wayans.
All the Wayneses. Like wrestling, you got a weigh-in.
All right, we've established that there was a couple of lines done this morning already, fresh out of the house.
I know David Allen Greer.
Do you?
I mean, I know who he is.
He played in a movie with Martin Lawrence.
I don't
Would
know.
you like to take a stab at what that movie was?
The Black Knight.
There's black people in it.
That's the name of a movie he did.
Boomerang.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of that movie.
Yeah.
So David Allen Greer, one of the few people I think looks worse with a beard.
Let me see. Oh, that's a tough look.
Yeah, that's not a great beard. Maybe he needs to keep it a little tighter.
Yeah.
But
in that movie, he did not get the girl. Eddie got the girl.
He's trying to do the Lovey Smith.
You've never seen Boomerang?
No, I've never heard of Boomerang.
I feel like you should have been on I'm Over It this morning.
Well, I'm not proud of my ignorance, but
I wear it like a badge of honor.
I'm aware.
You make fun. See, I was just telling this to Daniel this morning.
Yeah.
I'm not near as dumb as I come off sometimes. My problem is, maybe I am. I process out loud, so you can hear my thoughts as I'm working through it, and so you're able to critique. Well, wow. How do you get there?
Well, it's kind of funny sometimes.
I don't really think so. I'm gonna do a much better job of thinking in my head.
I like it when the wheels are turning, and
because it's all in my head.
Tim McGraw
and
Nelly.
Ooh, you got that black guy right.
Yeah.
I can't even talk there because I would be more apt to ruin a country singer.
I'm a little better with music than I am with movies.
Yeah. Well, you were of zero help between Whitney and In Vogue yesterday.
Well, yeah, that's not really in my era.
Yeah.
Over and Over came out in 03, 04. That's my sweet spot.
Oh, was it? Was it that late?
Yeah.
Long ago?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's in my wheelhouse. But
like Belt High.
I liked it a little low.
Like the ones Creighton was hitting. Wow.
Yeah.
That's not funny. So we're not laughing at anybody right now.
No, we're commiserating.
Although bless his heart, I was texting Nolan's dad during the game, which I have to kind of get the go ahead because he and I will do that sometimes.
Yeah.
Sailors. And as a parent, I don't know how I would be. He's clearly a lot more cool than I am.
So I'm going to be honest. I would imagine not great.
But he hit me with an LFG, so I knew I was cool to
the door's open.
I was cool to expound.
For sure. If they text first, the door's open.
And I told him, there's ominous. Let's use a different word. Let's go with foreboding.
Okay.
One of those 4 words. I know you typically think skin. Sorry about that. was really talking to Shane.
Out of the two of us.
I get the group text in the live show confused. Strike that from the record. Anyway,
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
You're really on a circumcision kick lately.
No, I put. See, that's another one of those things where it was an out loud thing where we've moved on from that.
My bad.
But have you noticed though? You don't grocery shop, so this isn't an
I
experience
actually
for
went
you.
grocery shopping the other day.
Okay, have you noticed, like, what do you think they do with all the twist ties? And why are there never any readily available? You pull a bag and you almost inevitably have to tie that thing in a knot. Like, where are all the goddamn twist ties?
I don't know. I used to love twist ties when I was a kid.
Me too.
I don't know why. I thought they were fun to play
I'd
with.
strip them down and just use
Like a little wire.
yeah, and I would like poke grasshoppers.
Oh, okay.
But it's former life again. Probably should not have said
The
that.
serial killer thing starts to make a little bit more
It
sense.
never morphed into anything bigger than bugs.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's a good place to stop.
Yeah. Although I did buddy whack at a bird, as you know.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to do that.
I'll say, I could tell you were torn about it.
Yeah. You'd like to play-by-play.
I did. Hey, don't make me do this. Hey, it doesn't think I'd be like this.
No, people, if that ever went, like, we would think this dude is literally talking to a bird in his garage.
I mean, you were.
Well, I was having my Dumb and Dumber moment. Here, birdie. Nice birdie.
Our birds' heads are falling off.
I forgot what I was going to say. Anyway.
You're not going to know. You were not going to know it's
and I said, I'm like, Wordley hasn't really been stretched out. He can't go more than another inning.
Yeah.
Or I said I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Run him out there more than another inning from where he was. And he got through the next one fine, and I was like, okay. And then he kind of got in the jam, and I did not want him to see Nolan again because of the familiarity between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Just, all the top players in the state have played with or against each other for forever.
Yeah.
Like, he knows too much. Nolan's been impossible to get out. And he made him pay the price.
Yeah.
But I am encouraged. I do think Nebraska offensively is starting to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just didn't pitch it well enough yesterday.
No, they really didn't.
They didn't, and they let Kuz off the hook a couple times. He had no control. He had no command over his fastball, and they let him off the hook.
Yeah,
and it's such a funny. Like, baseball is a very, very cruel sport because it's a game. I tell this to anybody. It's just a game about managing failures.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and Nebraska is in the inning where it inevitably got away from them. Mm-hmm. You have the pass ball on a strikeout. You go first and third. You get the strikeout. You don't have to probably move the infield in. Mm-hmm. You move the infield in, and inevitably you give up a hit, in which Cale probably makes that play if he's at normal depth. There's that.
You know what's kind of funny about that?
Then there was Frost foul ball.
Yeah.
By what I tell you, was that 4 feet maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
Changes the trajectory of that scoring sequence because then you get the strikeout right after that.
Yeah,
you don't get a productive out, and it's all she wrote.
Yeah,
like it's just it's a funny game, and you have to be opportunistic.
So the funny thing about baseball in general, but
we're talking baseball,
is I think when people think about managing failure, I think a lot of times they don't necessarily understand what that means, in the sense of, like, sometimes in baseball, managing failure is just not doing anything.
Yeah. Or allowing something to spiral.
Right. But I mean, sometimes what I mean by that, sometimes the reason things spiral is because you're like, oh, that didn't go my way. So, like, pass ball, third strike.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, I'm going to bring the infield in now to try and
you had to cut off. You
make a
late
play.
7th or 8th inning. You don't want to cut. Yeah.
Instead of just being like, hey, we struck him out. Obviously, that didn't go our way, but we did the right things. We don't need to change anything here.
Yeah. Although with that tactically, I probably got to cut him off.
I don't have a problem.
You know what I mean?
Necessarily, but like, it's just an example to me of, like, sometimes,
because I think at that point you're down to what, 8 outs?
Yeah.
Or what's 3 times 2? 6 outs?
6 outs. Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
That was one of those
4, 6, 8, 12.
I don't need you to point that out every timeout now. I'm going to practice silence in my head.
Okay.
Although sometimes with math, I like to count.
No, I get it. Kind of like
is that okay?
do it out loud. Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, like trivia. You've seen me do it, right?
Yeah.
In 1964, it was this guy.
Yeah, you'll kind of like
yeah.
you'll like start low and then end up high and then kind of find your way in the middle.
That's what I got to do.
I get it, but no, I do think there's.
And you don't allow me to doodle, which is what I ultimately like to do.
I'm not stopping you.
Have you noticed I have not been doing that?
I know. I don't know why. I didn't stop you.
I felt like I was being distracting because a lot of times I would do stuff and I would, whatever I would be doing. And sometimes I think you'd think I was giving you a message.
Because sometimes you would.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So then I was like, I ain't trying to trip him out. I was just looking out.
I appreciate that.
You know what would be looking out?
What's that?
If you turn the goddamn place off of 74, what is it? A towering inferno in
We'll
here?
check it. We'll check the temp and we'll break.
You know, here, this was 68 and hold steady.
That's where it was yesterday. I put it at 68 yesterday. So if it got changed.
Hold steady.
If it got changed.
It's feeling very 70s-ish.
Like Disco Inferno?
Sure. I thought you were going to go TV show.
Like
but I never saw that show.
What, that 70 show?
Yeah.
I watched it a little bit when I was a kid. It was okay.
Any minorities on there?
There is a Hispanic gentleman. And then I think in the late
Nowadays, that counts.
I think in the late seasons, they brought in a African-American lady.
Did they?
Yeah.
Women always go first. Say, broke the mold in Friends, too. What?
Was that Gabrielle Union?
Oh, Lord.
Didn't she have a cameo in there?
Gabrielle Union?
I thought she had a cameo in Friends.
I'll give you a little credit. She slightly, we say favor. She slightly favors Gabrielle Union, but it is not Gabrielle Union.
Okay, that's my bad. I really thought she like had a moment on the show. No. All right, my bad.
Different black anthropologist. Bet Ross fell for. That he pretended not to like.
No, I knew that one wasn't Gabrielle Union. I thought she was in there in a different, like in a different.
Oh, could I?
Wasn't she Martin Lawrence's girlfriend in Bad Boys?
No, she was Will Smith's girlfriend. She was Martin Lawrence's sister. In
Sister.
Bad Boys 2.
Yep.
You got that right.
I like Bad Boys 2 a lot. I've seen that one.
Well done.
The mostly see when I have problems is when I haven't seen stuff. Then I get confused. Like I haven't seen Boys in the Hood. I also haven't seen what's the You Smoke Crack Don't You movie?
Lean on Me.
Lean on Me. I haven't seen that one.
Mm-hmm.
So I get them confused when I haven't seen it. That's where we have problems.
My MVP candidate
Who we got?
left the building last night. Mookie.
Why you gotta do that to me?
Mookie Betts. That was off your boy too. But is he still your boy? That he's not yours
Sale?
anymore? Yeah.
No. Not even a little bit. I'm mad at him.
See, that was a drawn-in infield. Dodgers took advantage of it.
Yeah, the drawn-in infield is a very high-risk, high-reward play. I'm not a huge drawn-in infield guy.
It's Mookie.
Yeah, I don't. Just a couple of guys that don't play for the Red Sox anymore. Chris Sale and Mookie Betts.
How about the fathers? Are they going to be a thorn in my side all year? I think we'll talk when we talk to Jesse Rogers. I'm going to ask.
Yeah, they might be. They've spent a lot of money on that roster.
Yeah, I know, and nobody talks about them.
I mean, not like Dodgers money.
They don't get any return on their investment.
Well, you know.
It's Danny. Don't call me Fred King throwing darts on the mound last night.
What about?
I'm a big Danny King guy too, but yeah, big Danny. I like the tight end room.
We got a lot of.
I've given you a couple randoms. I told you about Stanger. I told you about Danny King.
Yeah, we heard about who was the running back? Mitchell?
Yeah. Kev. As Coach Rhule likes to call him.
Big Kev.
I tell you about Kev, man. Kev can do it. Man, who is Kev? Huh?
I think that's what people think when, like, every once in a while you'll use nicknames that are not like publicly known.
Yeah, because if I have enough,
Yeah, no, I know.
If I have an affinity for you, you probably have a nickname.
I do. I just think sometimes as people are like, "Wait, Kev? Who's Kev?"
Yeah, this is just regular because his name is Kevin.
Big Kev.
Although my Kevin, who you sometimes like to call Kev, I do not call Kev.
Who I don't know at all.
He is Kevin.
Is it like it's his government?
Yeah, and he's very fatherly, very wise. So I feel like if you Kevin belongs.
Okay.
If he was a little squirrely,
he's like a little more buttoned up.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, same job for 2,000 years. Really good with he's loves his. He's a Kevin. He's not a. Kev just is a little kitty.
A little loosey goosey.
Yeah, he's not loosey goosey.
He's not a party guy. Kev feels like a party guy name.
Another guy who has got both hands up, bobbing, weaving, fighting cancer.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I know.
Well, hang in there, Big Kev.
Yeah. Vin.
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 Like Vin Diesel?
Yes.
Do you think Vin Diesel's real name is Kevin?
You're not going to confuse me. I know what you're trying to do because you got off to a slow start. You want me to struggle? Nope. And I did a good job circling the wagons because Daniel was letting me have it from last night to this morning.
Was he?
And I've hung in
About
there.
what?
In Vogue versus Whit.
Oh.
If I screw up music.
Oh, Daniel get you?
Yeah.
So, you want to know what Vin Diesel's real name is?
Is it anywhere close?
No. It's a good thing he chose a different name.
His name is Tom.
It's pretty plain. It's like that.
Mark.
Yes, it is Mark. And his last name is not Diesel.
His name is Mark Johnson.
Not quite that boring, but
Williams.
Mark Sinclair.
Oh, I wouldn't have got that.
No, but Mark is pretty good.
I think I only know one Sinclair other than the gas station, and it's Sarah.
I don't know any Sinclairs.
Yeah.
I know.
She's Miller North, one of Miller North's finest.
What year?
She would be 92.
A little before me.
Yeah. You know her dad. He worked for the World Herald.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know any Sinclairs personally, I should say.
Do I know another Sinclair? There's a popular Sinclair in a TV show. Her last name was Sinclair. What is it? Shane? I don't know.
Is Sinclair the ones with the dinosaurs? The gas station?
Correct.
Okay.
The herbivore with the square teeth that we talked about the other day.
Brontosaurus?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was checking,
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of Sinclairs around here.
No, I think they've been purchased by something. But I can't remember what.
I don't either.
Maybe they just closed.
It's mostly all Casey's and QTs and Quick Trips now.
Don't forget about the mob money. Oops.
I don't think Casey's is papered up like that. Although you got to watch with those Iowa people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like Shane. Whew.
I don't even know what the FCS is.
I don't know about that.
Maybe
that's how they make such cheap pizzas. Like they got some other things going on.
I got that.
Trust me, I'm not papered up. Maybe coppered up.
Shane, do you know?
Nobody wants copper, so.
Are you nuts? People steal that like it's going out
I'm
of
just
style.
saying the penny. Nobody wants that, so that's
you
what
get
I'm all
your hands
about.
on some copper. Note to self: stuff starts missing from construction sites. It's Shane on the come up.
Yeah, and it's copper.
People have been
People steal stuff out of
jacking
walls.
copper forever.
Steal it out of the walls. That's the thing you got to check for if you're ever looking at like a foreclosed house.
Is that going to be part of the tariff? Because copper may go up too.
Yeah, you got to watch out.
Well, it's not funny because I have to get a new car. I hope it doesn't hit that quick.
I don't think is there a lot of copper in cars?
I'm talking about tariffs.
Oh,
numbnuts. Transition. Transition. Put the needle on the record. Do you know this started because of baseball?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, he had a good day.
Yeah, he did.
And I don't appreciate which one of you was that brought up him being pinch hit for and not being able to.
That was DeMarinis.
Okay.
Yeah.
I went back. So that's a tough ball to go get.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know who's catching that's going to make that play. That was a toughie on the wild pitch.
Yeah.
Now, if it was a pass ball with the official scoring, I would have been more inclined to be like, man,
listen to it a little bit.
Yeah.
Although I don't always trust the official scoring on those. Sometimes they get it wrong.
Yes.
On pass balls versus wild pitches.
I will be with Haligso's aunt and dad on Friday.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Oh,
yeah. I mean, it's not the best of circumstances, but
yeah.
Yeah. So I cheer for him. I cheer for Matt Creighton. I cheer for anybody local. Basically.
I was going to say, you're pretty equal opportunity.
Yeah, how about Vin Tigers hitting balls on the screws now? He's going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think
for as hurt as Creighton has been,
they've gotten after it.
Flipping scrappy, good hitting bunch.
Yeah, it's a pretty good lineup.
Yeah. I don't know if unfortunate's the word, but I was clearly cheering for Nebraska.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not bent out of shape because, I like Creighton baseball too.
I
was probably closer.
Mm-hmm.
This is really weird. I was probably closer to Creighton baseball than I was Nebraska, even though Nebraska actually recruited me. They just were really bad at it. What? Oh, it was horrible.
No, it's just funny. It's just they tried. They were just terrible at it.
I
Did Creighton recruit you too for baseball?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I used to go watch Coach Service practice.
Yeah.
I was mesmerized at like the pace.
Yeah.
No, we're talking 90s and early 2000s when I was like just still itching all the time.
Mhm.
Not because anything was wrong with me from a hygiene standpoint. I just
Yeah.
Baseball.
Had the baseball itch.
yeah. And I got over. It took me probably my first 2.5. My mom may disagree. She may say longer.
Okay.
Probably took me 2.5 years to get over not playing baseball in college.
Oh no, I get that.
Oh no, I was
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible person.
Well,
Mean,
And that's
constantly fighting. I mean, it
So-
went a little past college, but
Was that all baseball's fault?
I mean, I struggled.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, bad. That's why I didn't really come around on Coach Osborne for a while.
Yeah.
I was slow.
Because he kind of discouraged you from playing.
Yeah. And they just didn't get along well. He and Sanders just did not.
Yeah.
And so nobody was going to acquiesce. And I felt like you guys fibbed.
Yeah. Because if you weren't a fan of how they recruited you in the first place, it's not really tugging on you to.
So, hey, what'd you do with all those bases you stole? Not funny, Coach. Don't you know I'm in my pro black stint? Not funny. That's what he said to me.
That's a tough line.
Yeah. I'm like, Fods, I barely see you in the metro. Aren't you supposed to be recruiting out in Cali? That's where you get all your guys.
Yeah.
Except for his son, who I like.
Where's Ken Harvey from?
Harvey is from the East Coast, I think.
Yeah.
Big Harv.
Yeah.
He could hit it a ton.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
He's probably the only guy from the pre-Van Horn era that I remember like real clearly.
Yeah.
Because he was last year.
Wait, was Komine an overlapper, or is
I think
Komine
he's
all Van Horn?
I think he's all Van Horn.
Okay.
I remember Komine. I remember a decent amount of those teams when.
You remember Mark Sagmoin?
No.
Great hitter.
Yeah.
Yes. 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 And I like, to put the bow on the end of that story, a lot of the negativity that surrounded Nebraska baseball for me was part of it was the recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
And then early on in my career, and I inherited it. It was before me. It was Raymakers and those guys that were there before me. Football and baseball did not.
Just didn't mix.
No.
Yeah.
No. That's a good.
All oil and watery.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, we would, it was just, we'd have to cross Buck Belzer Field, and sometimes we'd jump the fence, and there'd be random mouthpieces, and it just was
Not a mutually respectable situation.
It was not. It's not. It's kind of dicey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when you would walk, because when I was a kid, I remember having to walk by the baseball field to get to Memorial Stadium, and like I think it was for a spring game, and you walk by to where we parked our car. But no, I was a big Shane Komine guy, mostly because I
love Komine.
by that point in my life, I realized I wasn't going to get any taller, and I was like, well, I could be a 5'9" pitcher just like Shane.
He was so tough.
He was.
I really admired that guy.
Yeah, even fought his way to the big leagues eventually.
Yeah, just no nonsense.
And this is not an insult, but for not having like crazy stuff.
Yeah, my man could command
Yeah,
his stuff on the mound, though.
he could.
And he was, how they joke with, they talk about Christo and being in the grease and how he's kind of embraced that role. He was good again yesterday. You talk about competitive stamina.
Yeah.
How about his ups and downs?
That guy's had
even the start of this season.
Yeah, that guy's had to get through it.
But with Komine, he was so clutch. He was a big game pitcher.
He's like when you talk about like an ace. Like that's Shane Komine.
Super stopper. So I'm, Nebraska's got to bounce back, and they got Omaha waiting, and I assume they'll get that in.
Yeah, I don't know what the rain's supposed to do like.
I think we're done around 2, maybe.
Hopefully, it was downpouring just a minute ago.
Why don't you ask Mama Lulla?
I'm gonna see
what she's on today.
I'm gonna see if she's texted me yet today.
Wow, you don't know?
Well, sometimes she'll text like late or in the middle of the night or something, and
That's not the first thing you do.
I'll check my text messages, but usually if it's a
You got back to me quick this morning. I was shocked.
Yeah, it's because I had my phone. I was ready. I was going. But no, sometimes if I realize it's weather related and not like anything urgent, sometimes I'll go back and get it later.
Oh,
All
right. It's fine. It's a heck of an open.
Well,
a lot of jokes.
In Living Color.
I need you to Google African American actors and actresses just in your free time.
I know they exist.
So we can have. Did we ever get who the Sinclair was?
Somebody said there's a Sinclair in Living Color.
No, is it?
I don't know.
Is it Jazz? No. You know who it is?
Jazz Sinclair's a person, isn't it?
Shane, kill the music for a second. You're going to ruin my vibe. What was the show? God, I can't ask you. The guy wore the glasses and the flip shades, and the little dude's name was Duck. Kadeem was the actor.
Kadeem.
Sitcoms. Google. It was on during the Cosby Show, and had a little light-skinned dude, and he wore the tinted glasses.
Kadeem Hardison?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's him.
All right, we're on to something. I see the flip glasses here.
What was the name of the show?
A Different World?
Yep. The young lady who grew up to be weird, who was in Harlem Nights, coincidentally.
Okay.
That Eddie Murphy killed in the bed when he said, "Now this is personal." She was a Sinclair, I think.
We're checking. We're getting on it here.
Or it was the dude that I called Troy Dumas, which was another black sitcom, and her last name was Sinclair.
I'm not seeing any on A Different World.
Okay, so it's the other show. It's the other African American funny people show where they lived in an apartment, and the dude had a bald head. He looks just like Dumas, and he talked real slow. And Troy used to get mad when I said it was him. Her last name was Sinclair, and the guy had twists. That was his roommate. Somebody will tell me. Do we have enough minorities that listen to the show?
I don't know, but we have a lot of people deep Rolodexes. They got some deep encyclopedias on their TV knowledge.
Home Box Office Network. Help a brother out. All right, Shane, start the music. You want to set the lineup?
Yeah, coming up on the show today, we've got Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7, Kevin Sjuts from 1011 News in Lincoln, and Jesse Rogers to talk a little MLB as the season's about.
Living single. My man finally came through.
Who, Daniel?
Yeah, when he's not berating me.
I knew it was going to be Daniel. He was the one I was thinking of that would have that Rolodex.
Yeah, we got to get to my man. And you're going to play a guessing game, too, when we come back.
We're going to play a guessing game?
What do these two gentlemen, other than their sweet hats, have in common about Coach Butler's presser yesterday?
We'll see. That's DBM Ravi Lulla. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next. Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you, make sure you've got that seatbelt fastened and buckled as you head to work this morning. Seatbelts save lives and prevent injuries, but only when worn properly. Make it click. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. DB.
I owe you an apology.
Oh, for what?
I'm sorry.
What happened?
She did make a cameo.
Oh, Gabrielle Union?
And I did, in my defense, I backed off because you gave me a couple of key indicators.
Yes, I did say cameo.
You said cameo, so it kind of stopped me in my tracks, and then you acknowledged that it was not What's Her Buckets that was in Criminal Minds.
The paleontology lady.
Or
what? The scientist that.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't know. I think they're both paleontologists.
The bone people.
Yeah. No,
fossils. I'm sorry.
It's a different thing.
Well, I mean, if you squint.
Well, I mean, they're in the same neighborhood. Yeah.
No further apart than Martin Lawrence and anybody else is a black comedian.
Jim Carrey.
Let me tell you something.
Different show. No, I will say I do think the paleontology lady is the only recurring black character in that show.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive.
It's all good.
That's all right. It's a different time.
Amazing, Daniel. I don't know if this is a thing, but he said Friends was a straight ripoff of Living Single.
I don't know. I haven't seen Living Single.
Yeah. You know how my taste has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
I used to really, really like Sinclair.
Yeah, Kim Coles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did not age well.
Your taste or?
Wow.
I was just trying to keep Kim Coles from catching a stray here.
Oh, so give it to your boy.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's not a stray when you're holding the gun, bud.
right. Got to be able to take as good as I give, I see. No fun when the rabbit's got the gun, huh? Would you like to take? Go ahead.
So you were going to ask me what your boys have in
Would
common.
you like to take a stab at what these two gentlemen have in common?
You said
Other than the hats.
besides the sweet hats, which the Bills one's okay.
I'm not a camo guy,
I'm not either.
but I do. This is dumb. Do you want to hear the sidebar? It's always a sidebar.
Yeah.
I would like to hunt.
Mhm.
It interests me. I like.
Killing.
Oh, jeez. It's not what I was gonna say.
Oh, okay, my bad. I was trying to anticipate.
You got. I mean, and maybe I did it to myself. By the way, I did get some new rubber gloves from Coach Williams, but it's to mix meat and stuff. I do have an affinity for guys that can kind of sit out there and hunt and like own their craft. I like the methodical, stalking kind of thing. But I am not spending all day out there without the ability to whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I could be quiet that long. I mean, I could.
Yeah.
But if I don't know what I'm doing, so I would have to.
Yeah, like questions.
I'd have questions.
Yeah. No, I got.
And I could clearly be quiet that long. I could sit in my house and not say a word. But I'm not a big camo guy.
I'm not either. There is.
I think I would be a bow hunter.
You think so?
You know who's a really good bow hunter?
Who?
Flipping Jared Tomich.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah. I got another buddy with some sweet bows. Have you ever met JD?
I don't know.
My yoked little buddy. He's nuts.
I don't think so.
He's allegedly suffers from pituitary dwarfism.
Okay.
But he's like not. He's just freaking
Just diesel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of who that was the other day.
Oh, JD?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hadn't seen that guy for a minute.
He has some sweet. I mean, it's some Rambo type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say there is like people that are really good at bow hunting. I do find that fascinating.
Yeah, I think I'd rather be a bow hunter than
Like guns.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'd have to get over the gun thing.
Yeah.
But I could.
Yeah,
Like-
for like sport.
Or for my daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I got you.
Other than that,
We were talking about two totally different things there for a second. And I was we found it.
What do they have in common?
You have a large affinity for both of them. Frank more than John at this point, I would guess, but you like John a lot.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
But that obviously wasn't the right answer, although I do think it's correct. Right and correct aren't always the same thing, right?
Oh, Lord.
Accurate and correct aren't always the same thing.
There you
It's
go.
an accurate answer. It's not the correct answer. Yeah. I'm going to say they don't let you back them into a corner.
No. So there's a reoccurring theme this spring.
Okay.
And I've joked about it a lot about our folks in the media.
DK's had a general disdain for the media. I don't know that I get that from Butler.
That's a good one.
Okay.
That's a good one. But I will say this. Butler is very familiar from a media standpoint with that particular group being all in on that team. He coached in Buffalo.
Oh, yeah, so he gets it.
And it is all Buffalo all the time.
100%.
So he does get that. That's a good one.
I don't so I'll just say real quick. I don't feel like he's hostile to the media.
Who? JB?
Butler.
No, he's not that as a person.
Yeah. So when I hear disdain, I think maybe more combative, and I certainly don't think he's combative.
Sure. All right,
So what's the correct answer?
Both of these guys make a living not enjoying or will ever go out of their way to give individual praise to a particular player. How many different ways did we try to get Coach Butler and this staff to talk about individual players?
Yeah.
Just not gonna do it. And I think I'm tickled every week that we try.
Well, listen.
But I think it's gonna be a thing.
So this is kind of the thing, and not to bring this all the way back from last week or whenever we were talking about this, but this is kind of a thing I appreciate. Is because you just heard me say, I don't think he was combative. I don't think he was anything with the media, right? Respectful, tried to give answers to questions without saying anything he didn't want to say. The media, on the other hand, I think they're asking questions that people want to know.
100%.
They want to know about specific players, right?
No, I agree. So
I think he has done a very, and the staff in general, but he was doing a very good job of what I was asking Rick Pitino to do. Understand
you
that
better knock it off.
What the question was being asked and why it's being asked, but then just say, hey, okay, either I'm just not going to answer that, or if it's in the heat of the moment, you don't have an answer you're ready to give. Or do like Butler does and answer the question you wanted to be asked instead of the one you were asked.
Yeah, there's some it's not important. There were some people that asked questions that I would give cheat codes to.
Mm-hmm.
And if I really wanted to know about individual players, there's creative ways to ask the questions.
Sure.
Where
like ask about position groups.
Or differentiating between like 1s and 2s or 1A, 2A, or what's such and such have to do to.
Yeah.
A beautiful one for JB is because I think, you know what I think people are dying to know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the difference between like a post or field safety versus boundary versus a rover? Right? Like, what are the skill sets? What are the characteristics? Hey, Coach Butler, you got a really good rotation, and Coach Rhule talked earlier about finding roles for guys to fit their whatever. What does that look like with the 3 safety positions?
Yeah.
And then see, like, what he'll say about traits.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't know if he'll take the bait for individual.
Probably not, but you get closer.
But it does seem like there's this unified message to not get into specifics. That's why when Coach Rhule, and it had to be intentional, I just don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why he went through the running backs like that.
Yeah, that was weird because I was just going to bring up, if you're not going to talk about players and then you talk about players.
And it's the only time he's really done that. And I know it had to be intentional.
It feels intentional.
Yeah.
Right? The other thing I will say is this conversation does not include Dylan because he gets talked about just because that's an like, everybody knows he's starting. Like, this isn't we're not playing a mystery game there with Dylan.
Clue?
Yeah, we're playing Clue.
The butler in the cabin?
The butler.
With the rope?
In the defensive backs room.
Not a rope. Let's pick something different.
With the candlestick.
Sure.
That was always one of the things.
Yeah, and with a candlestick, you at least have to be close.
Yeah.
It's personal.
Up close and personal. Not like
not to go all weird.
Weird. DB wants to go hunting. He said he wants to go with a bow knife. I don't know.
See? I'm not a cutter. I said a bow.
Oh.
I did not say anything about a knife.
I thought you wanted to be close. So
Although
now I got to cut you.
It's a good collection in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and one's camouflage.
SkyMax says you can come down to Arkansas and hunt with him.
Will he let me talk?
I don't know. I don't know the rules.
Like, you can't just be yapping out in the field.
I don't think so. Maybe you should learn like sign language. You could talk that way.
I'll ask Neil.
Will Neil know?
Hawks? Yeah, and he has a couple reservations, and he likes me. He'll let me ask questions.
SkyMax says you can try a crossbow. It's like a mix between a bow and a rifle.
Do you have to be strong? Because some of those poundages.
No, so that's the regular. The crossbow has like a trigger on it, so it's a little more like automatic.
Oh, like the ones that you shoot and it goes this way and not the lengthwise?
Yeah.
That's terrible radio.
Some of those long,
it's like the one Chewbacca uses. He has a crossbow in Star Wars.
I don't think that's super helpful for DB, Shane.
It's not super helpful?
No. But like the long bows, you're right. Some of those you have to be super strong to get those done.
I want the one that you have to like
pull
do
back.
This and they put the little things on their fingers so they don't
that's
get
like
hurt.
a more classic bow.
I want like that kind.
Okay.
Like a compound bow. That's what it's called. It's called a compound bow.
Okay, but I have to Google.
Well,
it wasn't like a trigger. You know what I mean?
So not a crossbow.
He's talking about the ones that you hold like this.
Yeah, that's a crossbow.
And they lay flat.
Yeah. That one you don't have to be strong for, but you don't get the pullback.
Do those have a what's the thing do those have a scope?
I'm sure you could get one on there if you really wanted to.
You know, your boy can't see.
I can't read.
But I do have binoculars.
See, I think you gotta get a scope on there for the old DB getting this hunting game right.
Yeah, and I would like to shoot something that's in like there's too much of.
So you're like helping the population.
Yeah, I'm not into like killing. I don't think I could. I don't want to kill deer.
Yeah, their eyes are too lifelike, man. It freaks me out.
That's not where I was going. I don't know. I think you should hunt things that can like get you. A deer's not gonna get me.
Oh, you want to hunt like a predator?
No, I don't want to die. I just, I just
Well, what do you think else is gonna get
something
you?
a little meaner.
Okay.
Like boars or bears.
So you could go down to Arkansas and get those wild hogs. There's an abundance of them down there.
Yeah, no, that's a good chance of dying, right?
I'll say, but those things will kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah, be careful there. Pigs are mean, man.
Peel Street Blues. Let's be careful out there.
We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live. Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you to get ready for Omaha's premier corporate golf showdown, the Championship Omaha, presented by Sunburst Communications. It's June 12th at Quarry Oaks Golf Club in Ashland. If you're interested in premium hospitality, elite networking, and an unforgettable experience, don't miss out. 402-333-7620 for more details. What's up, DB?
I mean, the stream is.
Oh yeah, they're out of control. Somebody's apparently.
I'm trying to focus on sports.
Somebody's apparently eating bears out here.
That's what's driving me crazy, and that's my guy.
Yeah,
I may look at JB differently
a
now.
little sideways now.
Yeah, we talk a lot. That's never come up. Who's eating bear?
I don't know, man.
And he's pretty
Like
normal.
He's not like living in a cabin in the woods or anything.
No, he's a Millard West guy.
Oh, those Millard
Not
West.
that I'm
Those Millard West guy's a little weird.
generalizing, but he's fairly regular.
So, what school would it have made sense for him to have gone to eat bear?
I think you'd have to change area codes.
Platteview.
No,
I know it's not a different area code, but
like further west.
the closest to Omaha school that you think you'd be like, oh yeah, I bet he's eating a bear. I don't know why Platteview is the first one that came to my mind.
I don't know. Kearney?
Ashland Greenwood.
No,
You don't think so?
no. They have around the bend. They're still eating steaks.
Where do you think the food comes from? Somebody's got to kill it.
This dude's eating bear.
What do you think about
TK's want me to hop in a helicopter to hunt boars. Yeah, I'm terrified of I'm not getting in a helicopter unless I have to be life flighted and I'm not conscious.
so you're not aware of the decision?
Yeah, they're not making a choice to get in a helicopter.
Grand Island?
No,
Eating bears?
no.
What's
All those stupid birds would probably wrestle one.
Ainsworth?
No. Oh, that's far.
It's pretty far. What about Kozad with new head football coach Jared Crick?
Ah, congrats to him though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's. I just saw him this past season.
Yeah.
His wife is expecting, so his newbie is not more than a year old,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think he has 3 under 5 now.
Oof. That's a lot.
Yeah, and she was a trooper. She was about to burst, and she's just chilling at the Husker at the network.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I'd be at the house.
Not for me.
Who's cleaning up your water? But I'd be close to home. Just saying.
Not you. You're not cleaning up anybody's water.
No. No.
So no bears, no water.
No.
Good. I'm just trying to figure out the checklist, you know?
Next.
Next.
Oh man. Come on.
So JB and Frank not rolling anybody, or not naming names.
Yes.
I was just trying to move on.
No.
My bad. I didn't know that was like a nausea trigger for you.
Mm.
Do you need a minute?
It's fine.
You good?
Yeah. It has a thing.
Yeah.
Just clearly probably never happened around you.
No.
I'm not cleaning that up.
You're not cleaning that up.
Mm-mm.
I'm not going to ask a follow-up question.
Wow.
Coming up next,
You know I'm an all 5 cents guy.
we're gonna. I'm not gonna ask a follow-up question. I don't want you to throw up on the air. Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7, coming up next here on Hurrdat Sports Live. Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We're joined now by Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7. What's up, BC?
How you going? I got a Sinclair hat on for you.
You see, that's I like. You're always. I don't know, man. You pay attention. Yeah, you play like you're kind of this aloof.
Like I'm dumb. I am dumb.
But
Yeah.
there's two of you that I think have mastered it to really commandeer yourself to the public. It's you and Sipple. I know you worked with him for quite some time. You guys have you're so disarming. People will tell you guys anything, and it's because you act like you don't know any better. It's a heck of a skill, man. I love it.
That's just me acting naturally, and I'm kind of slow-witted, and I don't know if it works or not. But yeah, I heard you guys talking about Sinclair. I don't know which character that was. I remember the Sinclairs there was like a show called Dinosaurs. Do you remember that, like in the 90s or something?
Like a weird claymation show or whatever.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they were like a family of dinosaurs, and I didn't watch it. I don't want to, but I was all in on DuckTales back in the day as a kid, but not dinosaurs.
Claire James was her name.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that one, but
apparently I'm learning a ton about TV shows. I did not know that Friends was ripped off Living Single. Did you watch Living Single, BC?
No, I didn't really watch Friends either.
Oh, good man. I didn't either. Although I would peek in from time to time, but
very important question here, BC, before we get to anything as frivolous as football. Have you ever eaten bear?
No.
BC, have you ever been hunting?
No, I like fishing. I can go that far. I would struggle with hunting. I have family that hunts, so I'm all, whatever, but it would be too tough for me.
Have you ever shot at anything?
No, not just a target. My grandpa bought me a slingshot when I was a kid, and I would never got good at it. But no, just fishing. We go fishing in Minnesota. That's all I do.
Who cleans the fish? You?
Yeah, I can do that. I'm up for that challenge. If we caught some fish, I could get it done for us.
So, like, if we were lost somewhere, we went to go watch a practice in a couple states away, studying a team, and we got lost. Like, we'd be okay in the wild with you?
Yeah, I think so. We could hash out the two deep for that team, and I could clean some fish while you're talking through it, giving some insights. I think that would work.
Hey, so I've got these. I always like to put some heads up here, BC, and this morning I used these two guys because they're going to become famous, I think, over time for not specifically wanting to talk about individual players. Like that's kind of my thing. I think Coach Butler is going to talk about his unit kind of as a unit until games actually unfold. And Coach Solich was notorious for that. How do you like so far in the brief times that we've gotten a chance to hear from Coach Butler? You're one of the guys that's notorious for being, not notorious, that is famously known for being a good question asker. Do you have a feel for where you think he likes to go and where he's comfortable going in that setting?
I think he will really expound on an answer, and we didn't ask enough about it yesterday, about just the generalities of the joy of coaching football and like building up players and developing players. Like you heard it sort of in his last answer when he was asked about, that magic moment as a coach when you take a guy, maybe he's a younger player, he's a guy who wasn't quite there a season ago, and you see it start to, the light starts to come on for him and what that's like. And then, he got into an explanation of a player they drafted in the 6th round who just signed a huge deal in the NFL. I think stuff like that could bring out deeper answers from him. I just think right now there's sort of a mission, and I understand it, to not let everybody lay out the too deep publicly, and nor is it easy to do just 5 practices into the spring, but even to get started on that trail of doing so, everybody wants to do it. Like even in the capsules people write before spring ball starts, there's usually a line like who's maybe the front line, who can compete for it. And I just think they don't want to go there. There's probably a variety of reasons. One, for just it's something a lot of coaches do, and 2, with the portal opening up, in a couple of weeks, it's something you think about too, about putting guys' names out there too much. So I get what's happening.
I didn't even think of that.
BC, so yeah, I'm curious here. How much do you think is legitimately trying to shield guys from the portal, and how much is like maybe they just don't? Maybe they've seen us as the media run with things too often that like, hey, let's dial it back here and not because I don't know. I feel I have a hard time buying that if somebody doesn't know about a kid already, that talking about him in a press conference is going to be the thing that attracts another school.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't have a good answer.
No, I'm with you, Ravi. I think of the 2 points I made, I think it's the one you're talking about. That's the biggest deal. It's just like we don't need to roll through this and have the hype machine go full speed on certain guys. And they've got a bunch of newer guys where that can happen. Like if a couple questions get asked, I'm just using this as an example about like Williams Winari, and you say a couple nice comments, just to get through the answer, that can feed a couple weeks of stories in this state and talk, so it's examples like that I think of, like a Desan McCullough. They've been asked multiple times about him, and the answers have been kept, pretty short and to the point. I don't take that as a bad sign for McCullough or anything. I think it's just like, let's not feed the beast maybe going on. And I understand that. Of course, we're on the other side of it. So you like when the answers go a little longer on certain guys. And there are individual stories like I'm really interested in where I do think coaches will bite. Like I asked about Elijah Judy yesterday just because he was coming up to the microphone and I knew he was going to be one of the guys. So you're writing a story about him. And I think Elijah's got like an interesting background and like how he's developed as a person and a player in his time at Nebraska. So I think there's some stuff like that hopefully comes out throughout the off season where maybe if it isn't laying out the too deep, it's at least sort of getting insights on certain guys' personalities that are new to the roster, and maybe coaches will expound a little more on that as we get further into it.
BC, you're in a similar vein, so I think you'll have good recall. Since the changing of defensive coordinators, Coach Rhule has been fairly specific about wanting a guy with answers and can be multiple and a problem solver and being able to evolve as a defense. When you look at kind of the transition so far from T. White to Coach Butler, are you starting to get a feel, given a couple of the answers yesterday, on looks, guys, kind of how multiple you think Nebraska wants to be? And I say that because I remember Coach Rhule was pretty animate when looking for a new coordinator. He said he liked the way Nebraska practiced and prepared, so he was reluctant to want to really mess with that. Are you kind of getting a feel for where the direction they want to move?
A little bit. I thought Javen Wright had an interesting answer, sort of in the middle of his interview. He was talking about how John Butler is unique. He's like, you got to really know your football with him, was the gist of it. Like you've got to just inside and out kind of be that guy who studies the game and immerses yourself in it, because that's the way he is. And I think we heard that from Marquise Buford actually too, like just how this guy is all football and like the knowledge that he's gained from him. So I think with that, some players as they grow can maybe take some of the base stuff and then you can elevate to more complex things like third down. You heard John Butler talk about like, I've got some things in my past. I think it helps that he was like in the NFL where you do, I think, have to obviously have some complexities to your defense to trick quarterbacks at that level. And so maybe there's some stuff that he can sprinkle in from there. And then he mentioned Phil Snow's got stuff that's been good on third down. And Terry Braden, he talked about like he's been part of a championship organization. And so I got the sense, without him getting real specific, he's going to lean on the knowledge of guys too. Like this guy's got a good idea over here that can work with something that I have done in the past. And you kind of mix those things together over time and you can have a nice blend. But we'll see. I obviously, if he's not going to name names, he wasn't going to get too detailed about like what they're going to do on third down. But I do think you got the sense like I'm going to have my ears open to what other guys have done in the past too as we put this together.
BC, I'm curious how you sort of processed and how you took Butler's comments about Phil Snow and their relationship and sort of his role in what's happening on the defense.
I mean, I just thought I guess it was the answer I would expect. It's just like, you've got this guy, he joked that's coached for 100 years, like you'd be a fool not to use that. Like he mentioned when he was with the Texans, Romeo Crennel, got moved to like a senior assistant type position within that operation. And that's a guy who's coached a lot of great football and knows a lot of things. And so I think there's very much a mindset over there with the coaching staff. You hear it from the head coach to the OC to Butler of you're always learning. Like the players are doing it, but so are we. And there's guys around you that have ideas and coach a certain way that is maybe something I can pick up from too. Like John Butler mentioned, watching Phil Snow, like coaching freshman defensive backs and just how there was something like I can take something from that. And I've coached DBs in the NFL for a decade. So I just think I got from that answer, it's like have an open mind to guys who have done stuff a long time and have other ideas and also can confirm ideas that I may have. And so that's sort of what I took.
BC, when you're talking about kind of the evolution, because it seems going into this deal, and I get it, there's multiple reasons, right? That the loss of some key contributors on the D line, a guy or two on the back end with Bullock and Giff, and then the new staff members. Are you getting the sense that coming into this one, there's more questions on defense or the evolution of the offense as kind of our spring fling?
Mm-hmm. I think on the outside, there's actually more questions on defense for the reasons you lay out, just because, I mean, everybody always goes to that D line and replacing the guys they're replacing, but also just all the different coaches and how that blends together. But it is an interesting question because maybe that's how it looks on paper. Like that's the side with more question marks because of all the replacements, but it's also been the side that Matt Rhule's teams have typically been just really solid at. And he does tend to find a way to have stout units that come together, and he has a tendency to have really good defensive lines and all that sort of stuff. So there's an interesting poll there because I think my answer is defense to your question, but yet I sort of just have a belief in, because of Rhule's track record and the coaches he's hired and the success they've had, that they'll end up being pretty good. But being pretty good, I think you can tell from their comments that that's not the goal. They want to be a top unit, and the differentiator to be a top group is be that team that hardly gives up a touchdown in the red zone. If you're that type of unit, you can give up a few yards here and there. You can give up a third down on occasion, but if you bow up inside the 20-yard line, it changes everything. And so I think there's a good reason why that's been emphasized. And also, in our first game, we saw John Butler as DC. They did really well in the red zone too. So, that's an area that and being more complex on third down, I think they feel like if we can be a few percentage points better in that stat, hike it up a little bit in red zone touchdown defense, that's a formula to, winning 2 more games at the end of the year than you did.
It's interesting, especially listening to you. I go back to Coach Snow, some of his comments where he talked about so many of the things that he liked from a year ago, but he wanted to improve defensively. And he even got a little bit specific, like with some of the looks where he said, we want to show pressures and maybe mug a little bit, which is kind of this terminology where guys are on the line of scrimmage. They're in close proximity. They can get out and bail, or they can get after you. He wants to be aggressive and cause confusion. Coach Butler says, well, you got to affect the quarterback, right? You have to. That's the guy you have to stop. You want to give him different looks. You can tell when you're piecing this thing together. For as young as this staff is and working together, they are definitely on the same page in terms of what the overall game plan is for this defense to continue to improve.
Yeah. And you know what? They're talking about stats where it wasn't like they're horrible. It wasn't like they're even middling. Like, I hope I'm right on this. I think on third down defense, they were top 30, it felt like. Red zone defense wasn't bad. But it's a coaching staff that I think, they want to be top 10, top 15 in those. And they know that if you want to be an elite team, playing in the type of games they want to be playing in November and December, those are two stats that tell everything. There's a lot of talk within this staff about winning time, whether it's on defense and third down and being that group that finishes plays. Like, that was one of the things that stood out about Butler yesterday was the finishing aspect. And that goes to third down, red zone defense. And then, I thought it was interesting. I'm going to write about this today. Dana and Dylan just talking about sort of thinking through the 2-minute offense and Dylan watching back all those games, like where they didn't have that final drive. And there's definitely that thought, like, last year the whole thing was about chasing three, but it's those moments. It's that third down defense. It's that drive with 2.5 minutes left at the horseshoe when you got a chance to have a statement win where execution's just got to be really good and you have to trust and believe you're going to go do it. And so it makes sense that there's such an emphasis on these things because that's what this team is going to need to change it and have close stop being a bad word around here.
BC, you mentioned a minute ago the track record of Rhule, and obviously we talked about Phil Snow. He's got an extensive track record. Addison Williams has a less extensive track record, but you've got a lot of guys in that room with these proven track records. Does it surprise you at all, or does it make sense that within that context, we really haven't talked that much about John Butler's lack of a track record in doing the job he's about to be asked to?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a question until it isn't. Every time a guy steps into a role like that, where he knows that when the season comes, if there's a bad week, you're going to take all the arrows as a coordinator. I do think, if John Butler had just been hired as the DC like a year ago before even coaching the secondary at Nebraska, and people just looked at his resume, though, people would have nodded their heads, and we tend to do that around here, but I think they would have been like, I can see it, like, because of he was up for that Bills DC job. Like, he was kind of in the running for it a year before, and obviously they were a really good football team, and he had such good success with his secondary. But I think it's fair, Ravi, to ask, like, okay, this is kind of his first, it's not his first time. I guess he did a little at Penn State, but he hasn't had like a deep DC background, so there's a curiosity there. But that's why I also think it's good that he's got experience where he does, but he has these other guys who have been in those roles, and I think that's where you have the benefit of like someone like Phil Snow. I don't see this as a bad thing at all. It's like a guy who's done it for decades that you can lean on for ideas or confirm ideas. Addison Williams has been in key roles. Terry Braden's been around championship football. Dvorak knows Rhule since he was a player, since Dvorak was. So all these guys bring a little different something, and Butler mentioned that at one point the other day. So I think he's a guy who he has his ideas, but he's not too proud to listen to guys. He said that's going to be a no ego operation.
BC, I want you to think about kind of some of the personnel that Nebraska has right now, kind of where Coach Butler's been. I'm going to play a clip for you, and I want you to let me know if you think you can see the correlation of how it's coming together. Shane, play clip 9 for me, please.
That's a good question. I haven't really ever thought about that. There was definitely some things that were different about coaching DBs just in general in the NFL to college. The number one thing, you're coaching men versus you're coaching younger men. I think Matt was helpful in that with transition with me. And like, you really got to look at it like in college, you're really still training them to how to play. Where in the NFL, you're really coaching them. That was a good learning point for me to kind of like that I picked up from him saying, and I do believe that. So I think it's just, they're just not as experienced. That's all it is. So you're just trying to provide as much experience and as much exposure to the things that they're going to see. And that's why it's so important to get practice and have walkthroughs and have meetings, because that's how you develop them in that regard.
BC, when I heard that, I thought, that if he gives that answer a year ago, we are much more receptive to him being named defensive coordinator versus a year later. And because when he first was hired, it was, oh, man, did you see how the DBs played? But he's admitting the learning curve. And once again, we hear a current coach talk about the impact that Coach Rhule's philosophy and teaching has had on them real time.
Yeah, and I also think the answer tells you how valuable it was to have one runway year where he wasn't the DC and he could kind of take all that in from the position that he had. And I remember he gave a similar answer. It was on like the Husker radio network show when they have a coach on in like November. And he actually mentioned Caleb as an example. It's just like Caleb's a young guy where he's not going to know what Micah Hyde knows, as a 28, 29-year-old. And I have to remind myself of that. And he mentioned Coach Rhule kind of helping him along at that point too. And so it didn't surprise me that he said that, but I do think that's probably a point that should be emphasized, what he got out of last year. And it's like, okay, it is a different type of coaching is coaching, but when they're different age groups, sometimes you have to process it a little differently with where a guy's at. And I think by the end of the year, last year, with the DBs that he was working with, he said, I realized after all that, I had like 5 or 6 guys that it's like, man, they've really made the progress when I look at it through that way of, hey, they're just a young player and it was their first year. And so now you build on that again into the second and see what you got. But it has to be a big adjustment too, going from the NFL to college coaching in that way that we don't always think about. And I think it was good for him that he got to experience that.
That's why I don't always appreciate or kind of roll my eyes sometimes when people aren't as in on off-season talk and winning the off-season, all this little anecdotal funny stuff we talk about now as a frustrated fan base that doesn't get wins in the fall. Because, BC, I hear this answer, and I don't know if it's the coach in me. I don't know if it's the player dad in me. I don't know if it's the player in me. It's probably all three. When grown men can be vulnerable like that and just open up to the learning process and learning from another peer and the importance of that and give real examples of how it matters, as a player, you can't help but to feel that. You can't help but to see it. And in a team like this that's developing culturally and emotionally, man, I think it's crucial. Like, I don't think you can get to embracing one score tight-knit stuff without that being a part of it.
Yeah, if I were a player and I heard that, that would make me feel good. It's like this guy's learning just like I'm learning in different ways about his craft, And so when a coach is open about that, like this was a spot I grew in, I have to think that's really good for your locker room for guys that hear it. And I love the off-season talk too. I mean, I do sometimes actually think, this is not a popular opinion, I think some of the stories in the media stuff it's viewed as like, oh, they're always hyping up this team. I'm always interested in the stuff I write being about sort of a team developing, and whether that's good enough to beat Michigan in September, I don't know. And I'm not saying it is, but I'm always interested when you hear a name or you hear guys that are growing. And we haven't heard a lot of names yet this spring. But let's say there's an Amari Sanders or a Caleb Benning who's growing and growing into a role. Like, I love those type of stories, and then we'll see how that stacks up against other teams. So I think people need to take the off-season talk sometimes and see it more as it's more about figuring out like who is those 50 to 50 guys who are going to play, who's developing, how are they growing, and then when we get to the fall, we'll see how that translates. So that's me getting on the pulpit there.
Listen, I don't know if they do the two-handed ones anymore, but I'm like giving you an air fist pump from far away, because I think it's exactly what this team needs. And you could tell just being around them. And you saw this in one-on-ones. If I had one big takeaway so far, and I heard Coach Rhule intimate it, and then I got a chance to pit it against what I saw, when he said, the guys get it. The leadership, they kind of know where to be. They kind of know how to practice. This is kind of more about me with my coaches, to be honest, learning what we want. My one big takeaway so far is their ability to cheer for one another at the same position groups and spur one another on. They're not going to win anything close or anything meaningful until that becomes a way of life, right? It has to be a lifestyle and not just a behavior.
Yeah. That's the best point of the whole segment right there. I'm not going to top that. I mean, that's what it's going to be. I mean, you got like the DBs, you have 27, 28 guys. But if you have that competitive nature, but also like wanting to push the guy next to you, like I want him to be better while I'm getting better, and you're happy when that guy is better, that's everything. So we'll see if they can get that. It sounds like it's building the right way, and that's definitely encouraging because I think that is one of the biggest pieces to stepping up, moving up a couple rungs.
That's our guy.
Fantastic, BC.
24/7. We appreciate it. As always, BC.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, buddy. We'll go skin some you'll go skin some fish. Too deep.
Sounds good.
Have a time. Football and fish, man. Why not?
Hey, let's do it.
You like fish.
I like fish. Yeah.
Your wife we can't bring the wife though.
Well, why no wives on fishing
They're
trips?
just bonding with the boys.
All right.
And I don't want anybody making fun of me that I'm not really Well, you're going to be worse. So I got no problem with you getting acclimated to being outside.
I'm 100% going to be worse.
I at least like being out there.
I'm not what they call outdoorsy.
I'd like to. Just get me a fancy porta potty. I'm straight.
I don't like bugs.
I ain't eating bear. I know that.
That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next. We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Kevin Sjuts from 1011 in Lincoln. What's going on, Kev?
Good morning. Happy Wednesday to you boys.
Kevin, how are we doing? But you had to double dipping, right? We had JB and a couple of the players talk yesterday, and then you had to hop over to Haymarket with the game time change. Did that monkey wrench anything for you, or did you kind of have a good feel?
I was already ready for a busy Tuesday. So it's all about mental preparation, On the weekend, as you look at the week, you're like, it's a little front-loaded. It's going to be nice on the backside. And, hey, we get to catch a little extra Nebraska basketball, a bonus day today. And then, man, if they can get past Georgetown, see even more of Fred Hoiberg's team this weekend.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So are you prepared? Like, what will you guys do if they get by? And I was shocked. I told Ravi this morning, I was surprised to see Nebraska a 7.5-point fave. They're expected to win. Does it change your coverage if Nebraska gets past this one in the Crown?
It could potentially, yeah. I mean, it's kind of a wait and see thing. That's been the case with this team the entire year, just because they've been so up and down, But it would not shock me, and you can hear all the fans saying it would be the most Nebraska basketball thing ever, right? The fact that they faded in the regular season, didn't make the Big Ten tournament, but there exists a world in which it makes total sense that Nebraska wins this entire tournament. Yeah. And if you look at the field that's left,
Boise's the best team left, I think, in my opinion.
I totally agree with that. I thought they should have been in the NCAA tournament.
That's what Ravi said.
Yeah. I mean, they're pretty balanced. They're pretty scrappy on defense too. And that would be Nebraska's most likely opponent in the next round if they get past tonight. But I'm even surprised that Nebraska's 7.5 over Georgia.
That's a lot, isn't it?
It's going to be a good game.
Yeah,
it is. It is, especially on a neutral site game like that. I think Nebraska's the better team, to be 100% honest with you. But I think there's a lot of similarities between the Huskers and the Hoyas, just that their ceiling's pretty high, but you've also seen some low out of the team. And, there's some fascination with watching basketball on April 2nd, the first time Nebraska's ever played a basketball game in the month of April.
Yeah.
Hey, baby steps, right?
How do you think they spend the money? Is that nobody's really been specific with what happens? I'm sure TD Dannon's got to get the cut for the department, but is that basketball budget money, do you think?
I've been very fascinated by that too. Like, where does the money go? Does it go
Right.
to players? I know,
I
because
think some of it
claim
does.
Some of it does.
Yeah, I think some of it does.
It has to.
Yeah.
And they've even claimed that this is like a part NIL initiative of putting on this tournament. But I mean, like, where does it go? Players, program? Do the coaches get a cut? Do the administrators get a cut? I don't know. And I guess we'll talk about that when it actually happens. No matter who wins it, I'm curious how they're going to spend it. And then you talk about the momentum of the Crown and what the future of this tournament could be. If you listen back to Hoiberg praising the tournament at the beginning when they accepted the invitation, he was very complimentary of this first-time 16-team tournament at one site. And for me, I was a little caught off guard by that. Of course, he wants to make it a good experience and, paint the narrative for the fans and for his team and anybody else that follows his program that they're excited to play in this. But I think that there is some tangible, like, the fact that there's money coming out of it, it could bury the NIT.
I'm glad. See, that's my number one thing about you, just the authenticity. Because when he said that, if it was anybody but Coach Hoiberg, I probably would have rolled my eyes. But him being very candid about that, I'm exactly with you. It caught me off guard, Kevin. But then I remembered, I'm like, well, this Coach Hoiberg, he's not going to probably blow smoke. Maybe he's already fast forwarding to the benefits.
Yeah, it could be. And plus, he's just generally a pretty positive person.
Good point. Good point.
But still, sometimes your dauber goes up, and you're like, that's just coach speak. I can see through that. I don't know, like, how real. But with Fred, I really felt like, no. And he truly, and this is one thing that I think some people have rolled their eyes to, he has said he really enjoys this team. These last 2 years have been some of his most enjoyable years in coaching, and I think there is some real truth to that. Because you think about the roster construction for Nebraska basketball the last 2 years, it has not been easy. And even before this 2-year period, when they went out and got Juwan and they went out and got Bryce, they felt like they could be really good players. Well, they've turned out to be excellent players. And there's just something about the chemistry of these two teams that's been really special. And I don't think Fred wanted this season to end. And I think he'd really like a few more days, even beyond today, if that can happen and they win against Georgetown tonight in Las Vegas.
Kevin, let's switch gears here to baseball. Obviously, Nebraska fell to Creighton yesterday down in Lincoln, coming off that big series win against Oregon State. Do you feel like that scuttles the momentum a little bit, or different feel because it's a midweek game as opposed to a weekend series?
Yeah, it does scuttle some momentum because, man, that felt so good this weekend, especially the nature in which Nebraska won on Sunday. All the runs they scored with 2 outs in the 7th inning, like that felt good for the players, for the coaches, for the fans. And then 48 hours later, you're scratching your head because they continuously played this back and forth thing with Creighton, and they didn't come up with plays late in the game. So some of the good vibes have gone away. The way to get them back, and it's still, it's April. There's plenty of season left ahead. But Nebraska's painted itself into this position that they need to win series. And this weekend, guys, I'm telling you, it may be the most important series of the entire season. They're at home. They have some momentum off of what happened last week against Oregon State. If you drop the home series against Rutgers, man, it is an uphill climb just to get into Big Ten contention and make the conference tournament. If you win this weekend, let's say you maybe even sweep it, now you've created a scenario in which you really feel like you have momentum. You've probably figured some things out from a personnel standpoint and from a lineup standpoint. So I think that these upcoming 3 games are massive for Nebraska.
Yeah, we were talking to Evan Bland yesterday, and he brought up an interesting thing that quietly Rutgers has been a little bit of a thorn in the side for Nebraska the last handful of years, keeping them out of the tournament a couple of years ago, and it hasn't been easy. So I don't think it'll be very hard for Nebraska to get dialed, but were you surprised yesterday that it was kind of pitching that let Nebraska down and not necessarily the bats?
Yeah, I mean the starting pitching was really bad. What four walks I think in the first 2 innings.
Any problems with the selection?
I don't get me going on this. I just don't like. I don't like a game that means a lot to a lot of people, and you don't throw a top dog.
Yeah,
like that really bothers me. But I understand that's not just a Nebraska thing. That's a college baseball thing, and those midweek games are sometimes developmental games. And if you look at some of the guys Nebraska trotted out there in the middle of the game, they're young arms. So, like, I kind of get it. They need to play at some point in time. I just don't. This Creighton game, everybody knows the series. It's a big series, right? But they don't pitch it like it's a big series, and that's what I think the thing that bothers me with it. I'm not asking them to throw Will Walsh. I'm not asking them to bring in Brockett for those games. I understand that. Like,
did you think we were going to see Yasa?
Possibly.
Yeah.
I really did. I mean, yeah. And they have Omaha tonight too, so you got to not only figure out who's pitching against Creighton, you got to lay out the 5 games that are this on the schedule: Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Knowing that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, frankly, are the most important games of the week.
Kevin, I do, it's funny you brought up Jackson Brockett there because, ironically enough, midweek series last year is sort of where Jackson Brockett got going a little bit. Do you think part of your frustration with the midweek starters and pitchers is just that more of those guys haven't turned into better or more consistent pitchers?
Yeah, that's what separates really elite teams in college baseball. You can have 100%. Your Friday, Saturday, Sunday guys, and then you go through Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, and you've got 4 and 5. That's very Major League Baseball-ish, that there's no game where it's a throwaway game where you're just hoping to get out of the 4th inning with your guy. But you also have to balance, like, giving some of those younger guys. That's where it would do Nebraska wonders if one of the freshmen or one of the sophomores on the team would just go take that position. And if you think back to, like, Nebraska's best teams, they had studs on the weekend, but they could run through a Tuesday, Wednesday game and have a really, really good dynamic guy on the mound. It's kind of what Johnny Dorn did to start his career. Yep. He wasn't in the weekend.
That's how he made a living. Yep.
He was really good, and you could pitch him into the 7th inning. And that, I think, really paid off for him as he transitioned later in his career to pitching on Nebraska's Friday and Saturday games.
Kev, let me get you out on this. Creighton continues to play well. Obviously, it's a transition year with the coaching staff of the baseball program. Was there a point yesterday where you just thought to yourself, Creighton's a pretty good baseball team?
I feel like I've been saying that for the last 4 or 5 years. And even beyond that. I mean, Creighton has won 9 of the last 10 against Nebraska. Will Bolt has not fared very well against the in-state rivals. They're just so if they see like a moment to seize the momentum, they do it.
It's an opportunistic bunch, boy.
And even after the big Silva catch in center field, when that was Creighton's moment, right? They had 2 on, 2 out, tie game, and Silva makes that sensational catch in right center field. Creighton didn't blink.
Nope.
Like, they still came back from that. For some teams that are, like, I guess mentally weak, that there's an effect to that where you're like, man, that was our chance. We're kind of doomed. But they just kind of bucked up, and then they struck in the 7th. They taxed some insurance in the 9th, and they won the game.
That's our guy, Kevin Sjuts, 1011 News in Lincoln. Kevin, we appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, boys.
I will die on the hill that I thought Johnny Dorn was a better third baseman than he was a pitcher.
That's a great pull. I'm a huge Dorn guy.
Like, that guy could rake.
Yeah, you talk about competitive stamina.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dorn was a dude.
I know he had a good career at Nebraska, but that dude could rake.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard yet. There's all sorts of mixed emotions. Big Ben Tiger guy.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about Sailors, maybe my favorite player.
Sure.
It's just, I just wish it's such a, that's why I love baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk to Jesse Rogers here, but a couple things, inches, infield in, infield out, the things we talked about earlier, changes the whole trajectory. And Kevin's right. You talk about managing failure. They didn't blink after that catch, and Silva had a day at the plate too, and then he makes the play, and Nebraska couldn't capitalize the next inning, and Creighton did. And now we're having this conversation.
More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next. We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you that it's harder than ever to tell what's fake from what's real. And fraudsters are constantly seeking ways to get your personal information, whether it's your text message, emails, phone calls, whatever else it is. It's more confusing than ever to know what's real and what's not. Knowledge is one of the best defenses against these fraudsters, and Centris Federal Credit Union has the tools and resources to help you recognize what's a scam, what's real, how to protect yourself, and how to act quickly if necessary. Visit their member protection center at centrisfcu.org to learn all about the latest scams and how to protect yourself at centrisfcu.org. Federally insured by NCUA. What's up, DB? What are we looking at?
Oh, I just was laughing that they're making fun of Jerry Jones grabbing the mic, talking about Micah Parsons yesterday.
Oh, Jerry Jones loves to grab the mic.
No, it was incredible. Yeah, I did.
My guy loves to talk.
Man, he said, I'd rather make a mistake and spend a lot of money than not make a I'm like, Jerry, that's not how it works. But it is his money, so he can do what he wants. It's just, I am fascinated by this draft.
I
am fascinated.
I am fascinated by the draft. Field Yates came out with his latest mock draft. Has your Steelers taking Jackson Dart at 21 again?
I don't know how he gets there. I don't believe it. I want to believe it.
I don't think he's going to get there.
I don't. But I am surprised that so Cleveland is going to be locked in at taking Hurrdat.
I don't think so. If Yates has him taking Abdul and has the Giants taking Hurrdat at 3.
So that okay, but I saw his, which is why I asked you
a couple days
Monday on the walk-off.
When Mel
would you feel better about the Giants having a plan?
Yes.
With these 1-year guys?
Yes.
If they drafted Hurrdat. Because if you're Dable,
mm-hmm.
why would you sign 2 stopgaps? And they could have got rid of you this year, and they didn't if your future wasn't about getting a quarterback.
Here's my question, though. I do think Dable's job, and maybe I think less of Dable than everybody else, but
I like Dable, so certainly less than me.
I don't dislike him. He just hasn't won very much.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, does he have enough job security with the Giants that he can suffer through a gap year in order to get to a place where Hurrdat matters? And if that's not the case, if he doesn't have that amount of job security, why are you letting a coach that you may be about to fire pick your new franchise quarterback? Because that doesn't make a lot of sense to me either.
Yeah.
Or at least waste a year of your franchise quarterback's development under his tutelage. I don't like that either.
Well, the thing about it is why else would you want another year or bring him back? Oh, here we go again. Wow, right on cue.
Yeah. How about that?
Steelers, Dart, 21st pick. Dart's not going to get there, is he?
I don't think so.
Although I wouldn't mind it. And it would get Amazing Daniel off my back.
So let me ask you this, though, about the Steelers.
Because if they sign Rodgers, he's going to be unbearable.
Let me ask you this about the Steelers.
Let's finish this real quick.
Yeah.
If I'm Dable, I don't come back for one more year for bad quarterback play. I don't. But I do think he is good enough to get Russ to maximize. I don't think you want to hitch your wagon to that if you want to stay coaching in New York.
Yeah, I don't think you can hitch your wagon to Russ. I don't think Russ is going to be terrible, right? Like we make fun of Russ because he's cringy and whatever, and he's certainly fallen off from what he was. He had the one really bad year in Denver, but he hasn't been terrible the last 2 years. So I don't think you're sinking yourself with Russ. I don't think you're resigning yourself with Russ. I do think that's not a long-term plan. So drafting Hurrdat does make a lot of sense to me, but only if you are dead set on Brian Dable continuing as your head coach. Like that, those two have to go together in my mind. I don't like drafting a new quarterback with one coach and then firing him and then having a new coach immediately. That, to me, is organizational dysfunction. Doesn't make any sense to me. Speaking of organizational dysfunction, I don't know what the Browns are going to do. Is Kenny Pickett just their starting quarterback? Is that just what we're doing?
I think the Browns, that's what I'm telling you. I think gosh, that guy gives me the vibes. But he's always here early.
Yeah.
It's like he scares me. They have to get a quarterback.
Where? Do they? I mean, because if they draft Shedeur at 2, what are the Giants doing?
I don't think you can think of it like that about the Giants. The question was about Cleveland.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So
Cleveland has the first shot at it.
Right, but one of those two teams are going.
They're going. I think Cleveland takes Shedeur.
One of those two teams is going to be deeply screwed.
Yeah.
One way or the other. If Cleveland takes
the
Shedeur,
Giants less than the Browns.
Sure.
But
then I don't know what the long-term plan there.
So that's what they got to figure out.
But
although
that's a less bad situation.
If you're looking at the top 5 quarterbacks coming into next year's draft,
you like your chances better.
Maybe there's a guy you like, but I don't know how that could be the case.
I'm not enamored with next year's class either. Maybe, I mean, we don't know yet. Some guys may step up in a way that you're like, oh, that's obviously the guy, or there's obviously a handful of guys here, but I don't look at next year's class as this, oh, we're all of a sudden after this down year going to have this incredible quarterback class. I don't know that yet. That's not where I'm landing yet. I'm still in very much wait and see mode on the 2026 class.
You have to be careful in the NFL about playing keep away. I'll take a guy so they don't get him. Sure. I think you have to do.
You have to like the guy.
But man,
it'd be really easy to do that if you're Cleveland, though.
I'm going to give the Giants the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they've looked at next year's class.
Maybe. Here's my question.
Maybe they've looked at next year's class.
As a Steelers fan, if your room is Mason Rudolph and Jackson Dart, do you like that better than Justin Fields and Russell Wilson?
Oh, boy. Buy me some time. Ask me again.
If you're a Steelers fan, do you like the room of Dart and Rudolph better than the room of Fields and Russell Wilson?
Yes.
Just the upside of Dart?
Yes. I got a future.
Well, you hope.
I've seen Fields in that offense.
Unless he's as dumb as Severe thinks he is. Then you might be in some trouble.
It's kind of rough.
We'll be back with Jesse Rogers talking a little Major League Baseball here on Hurrdat Sports Live. We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We are joined now by Jesse Rogers of ESPN to talk a little baseball here. Jesse, how are you this morning?
I'm good. Good to be with you guys.
Good. We really appreciate your time, Jesse. Always know you're busy. We're going to start in the AL. I'm an NL guy, but my partner over here is a big AL guy, so I'm going to acquiesce and start there. Are you in or out on the narrative on the league as a whole in terms of their star power at the top? Like kind of the narrative has been all off season, hey, there's no real great team in the AL. And are you in or out kind of on that philosophy as the season's gotten started?
Yeah, I'm kind of in on it. I think the Yankees obviously are playing great baseball, but I'm not sure about the staying power in terms of being that elite team without Stanton, without Cole. You can't lose those two guys and just kind of keep going, although they're good. I just don't know if they'll be as good as they've shown. I think it's wide open in the AL. Texas Rangers are off to a good start. I like their team. Evaldi pitched a complete game shutout last night. Really like the bounce back of the Rangers after kind of a down year last year after winning the World Series the year before. AL Central, nothing special there. The Astros are trying to find themselves after losing Bregman and Tucker and everything. Baltimore looks good at the plate, that's for sure. But we'll see. I buy into that narrative that the AL is a little bit more wide open, and we're not necessarily going to see a 100-win team or maybe even a 95 to 100-win team.
Hey, sticking in the AL for a second, I'm a Red Sox fan, so obviously I need some therapy. But is there it too soon to hit the panic button? I'm assuming, but is there real reason for concern after they had what I thought was a pretty good offseason?
No, I don't think so. Way too soon. Alex Cora is good at what he does.
Yeah,
they're going to come together. A lot of people have picked them as kind of that sleeper team. I think it's way too soon. All sorts of guys underperforming that they're going to step up, starting with Devers, I'm sure. Several guys having slow starts that I expect to pick it up. So way too soon to worry about the Boston Red Sox.
All right, with Gausman and Scherzer will be back. Still don't know what to make of Barrios. You got Bassett. Is this a year where, since kind of the Blue Jays for once aren't a trendy, hey, look out for, could this be the year that the Blue Jays finally maximize surrounding all the Vlad talk in the offseason?
I've never been a Blue Jays guy. They really haven't fixed their offense the way they should.
No lefties?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. I don't know if I've been on with you before saying that, but that's my big thing. They don't have the balance. Yeah, they might get the best out of Vlad because it's a walk year and all that stuff. In their pitching staff, there's moments where it looks really good and other times where not so much. I don't know. I'm just not a Toronto guy. I don't know why they're any better this year than they have been in the past, to be honest. They struck out on a few guys that they went after, as they have over the years. They've been okay. They're probably – in the past, they've been also in the wrong division. Maybe it'll be – I don't know why it'd be any easier this year, to be honest. There might be a little bit more parity in the division. You may not have a 100-win team, but anybody can beat up on anybody. So I'm not sure how the Blue Jays are going to stand out unless they really overachieve.
Hey, for you, who's going to be the real Bo Bichette?
Yeah, I think there's a good player in there. I think that I think the way he started his career is who he is. He just has to get back to it somehow. I haven't studied his game that intensely, but I talking to some scouts over the last couple of years when they were there were trade rumors and stuff. They thought there was a good player in there. Maybe a change of scenery would help, things like that. I don't know enough to know. But other people have said it's still in there. So sometimes that change of scenery can be the difference maker or something external, sort of clicks. But I think the real Bo Bichette is a really good player.
Jesse, as we look over at the NL a little bit, obviously Dodgers and Padres have gotten off to a great start. On the other end of the spectrum, the Braves have gotten off to a very bad start. Which do you believe more, the Braves off to a bad start that they're actually going to struggle this year, or let's say the Padres who have underachieved with a good roster in years past finally figuring it out?
I mean, look, the Padres have been good for a couple of years. This is not a complete shock. Now, a team that's undefeated, of course, is that you don't expect that 6-0. But San Diego is a good team. Their offense is really good when healthy. They added Nick Pivetta, which offset the loss of Musgrove. You got to get Darvish back. I'm not surprised by the Padres. I like their manager. I'm a little surprised by the Braves, but I guess I shouldn't be shocked. Ronaldo Lopez is down. Strider's not back yet. Acuna's not back yet. Profar's now been suspended.
Isn't that something?
It's not fun to start out west and including the Dodgers. So, everything is piling up on them. Doesn't mean they're out of it, but they are in a tough division. There's that saying, you can't win the pennant in April, but you can lose it. I mean, if they get down, 8-9 games in the division, watch out. That's tough to make up. They're only out 4 right now, but and obviously when you're an East Coast team and you get a West Coast trip out of the way, even if it's a losing trip, there's some benefit to that. Get it out of the way, come back east. You're going to play a lot more games in that time zone moving forward. You can find a positive getting a West Coast trip out of the way early, but you need to win a couple games here. So I think it's piled up on them, and if it keeps sliding, watch out. It's such a tough division, they could be in trouble, but long way to go. So when they get Strider and Acuna back, things can all change and flip.
Jesse, so age was standing. I'm going to throw Lindor in here, not only because of his career, but, he had the great year last year, and he's got Soto behind him to protect him in the lineup. But I'm talking shortstops here. Sort through with me Gunnar Henderson, Lindor, and Ellie De La Cruz, age withstanding.
Wait, give me the choices again.
Gunnar Henderson, Francisco Lindor, and Ellie De La Cruz.
I would probably say Gunnar Henderson. I mean, did you say regardless of age or because of age?
Yeah.
Including age as a factor.
Yeah.
You have to include age. I would say Gunnar Henderson. Yeah, I mean, Lindor is a little bit older. Henderson is just already arrived, has a lot of years left in him. I mean, it's splitting hairs. De La Cruz is probably the most raw talent, but he's not quite harnessed at all. Gunnar Henderson is the real deal at a younger age in his prime. So I would probably go Henderson, Lindor, De La Cruz in terms of who do I trust more moving forward, though De La Cruz could jump them all if he really comes to, brings it all to the table and becomes a solid player, because his talent base alone is probably better than those other two guys.
So, Jesse, I got to take advantage of your expertise here. So, outside of the bad years with Baltimore, well documented, when we're talking Rutschman and guys like Gunnar Henderson and their last couple of years, and I get it, they play in a tough division. Is there a secret sauce to how Baltimore has done this turnaround other than their talent evaluation? Are we is there something else in there?
I mean, teams like Baltimore and Cleveland and even Milwaukee and Tampa, they just have mastered the player development thing. And I think, it's more recent for Baltimore. Obviously, they lost 100 games a bunch of years in a row. That allows you to get top picks.
Yeah.
Those top picks have come to fruition. Not every team's top picks do, but theirs have. So I think the combination of scouting and development, systems in place that have shown success in other places, like Elias, saw it in Houston. Baltimore is kind of copying that. The smaller markets really have to make the right decisions more often. The smallest of decisions can make the difference, and they've mastered it. And I think those other markets I mentioned have as well. But it starts with scouting, and then it leads to player development. By the time they get to the major league roster, those players are pretty darn ready for the big leagues. They're not learning on the job. So it's that combination. I mean, I don't know if there's a secret sauce other than, making decisions every day that are, piling the right decisions on top of them, because you don't have money to use to overcome bad decisions. And Baltimore has entered that group where Cleveland, I put Cleveland, Tampa, and Milwaukee as the smaller markets that have mastered it. And now Baltimore is kind of in that group as well.
Jesse, speaking of kind of decision making, I brought up the Red Sox and their off season over just a minute ago, but I'm curious, who do you think? And I know the Dodgers are kind of an easy choice here with all the payroll and all the people they added on there. Well, I guess not payroll with the deferred money, but I'm curious who you think got the most out of the off season, not necessarily just signed the sexiest names, but actually got the most better.
Well, I would say the Dodgers, and I'm not, unless you want me to eliminate them. And the reason I say that, and the reason I picked them to repeat, which I never do with championship teams, because I believe in hangovers and all that stuff, and it's tough to go another 7 months and the extra rounds of the playoffs and all that. The reason I picked them is because I think Andrew Friedman understood that it is that hard to repeat. And rolling it back is great, which they mostly did, re-signed Teoscar Hernandez, but he did even more. The day I picked them to repeat was the day they signed, not Tanner Scott, but the day they signed Kirby Yates, which was about 4 days later. They went out and got the best arm on the market, and then 4 days later, basically got the second best arm, or arguably. I mean, Kirby Yates had a 1 ERA with 33 saves. He's pitching the seventh inning in Japan on game 2. In game 2, not even game 1. Like their B players could run out there for most teams. I mean, their B team could beat the Marlins or the Rockies or whatever. So I like the Dodgers because I don't think you could just run it back with front line, even with great team, because there's always something in a 7-month season that's going to hit you. That's why we haven't had a repeat champion in 25 years. But he fortified more than you would think for a championship team. So I love the Dodgers. Now, if you want me to go elsewhere, I'm not saying this just because the Padres are undefeated. I really like the Padres. They nearly beat them last year. If you can get the Dodgers in a 5-game series like the Padres did, you got a shot. So in the NL, I like the Padres as much as anybody outside the Dodgers.
Hey, for you, how good is I'm a Dodgers fan, so I always ask about the other team because I know the obvious with LA, so I'm always checking the rearview mirror. So these next 2 questions are about guys that are going to try to run them down. How do you feel about? I want to start with Michael King. How do you feel about him as a bona fide 2 in that rotation?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'm buying in. I like him a lot. I don't have his numbers in front of me in terms of innings pitched, but because he started as a reliever, I'm assuming his arm is pretty safe from injury. You know what I mean? Like he's got a lot of good years left in him. Yeah, I've just punched it up. 1 year, 2 years over 100 innings, really just one real year as a starter last year. At 29, 30 years old, he could be coming into his own. And you have a lot of mileage left on his arm. I mean, what he did last year in his first full year as a starter was just absolutely amazing. I mean, 173 innings, 144 hits, that plays, 2.95 ERA. No, I'm buying stock in Michael King in part because he came to being a starter a little bit late, so he's got a lot of mileage left on his arm. I really like what he's doing in San Diego.
All right, more of the fear factor. Do you expect a true bounce back year for Carroll in Arizona?
Yes, I do. Maybe Water will find its level. Maybe he won't be the five-tool powerhouse in every area that he was kind of his first season. But yes, he's so smart. He's so talented. The legs play in this day and age. Yeah, I think that batting average will go back up. Maybe he's not going to be the slugger that he kind of showed. Yeah, but the answer is yes. I don't know if Corbin Carroll's like a top MVP candidate, but Corbin Carroll's a really, really good player. And if he's not at his best, maybe he's not top 5, but he could be a top 10 guy in terms of like MVP voting. So I wouldn't doubt him. He's so smart and talented that at the very least he'll be a solid player.
Jesse, I have to ask you because it's been one of the biggest headlines in baseball over the first week of the season, and that's kind of this big hullabaloo about the torpedo bats, right? In your opinion, is that real in terms of the difference that they actually do make for hitters, or is this, hey, kind of a real small sample size early on in the season, things will kind of figure themselves out?
I think the answer is kind of both. I do think there's an impact. The players wouldn't be using them. I do think it's an impact. I don't think it's the big impact that the Yankees had on the scoreboard. I don't. As I was talking to Byron Buxton yesterday, he's like, the guys hitting home runs for the Yankees this year are the same guys that hit them last year. Now, whether that's completely true or not, who knows? But the Milwaukee pitching staff just had a bad week, and everything's kind of a perfect storm too. So, but I do think it's kind of the storyline will recede a little bit. I think there's a bunch of guys that now are curious around the league. I talked to some players yesterday that are putting in orders for it. Who knows? I don't think it's going to turn a bad player into a good player or a good player into a great player, but it might result in a few more hits or a few more home runs for guys that use them, that have a propensity to make contact in an area that isn't the thick part of the bat, which now might be once they order these bats. So I do think it can have an impact. It has had an impact, but I don't think it's going to change the game.
Jesse, as a baseball guy, I don't know. I'm a little reluctant to think that with the specific dimensions that baseball has operated under, that we're simply missing the fat part of the barrel, right? Or more barrel. It didn't get the eye roll from me. It got more how'd we miss this for so long?
Yeah, the idea of it, how'd we miss it? Yeah, I agree. It makes complete sense. I guess most of us probably just assume you can't change the bat the way they are, but you can, the way they have, but you can. I mean, the league has spoken up about this. So I don't disagree that I even, as a reporter, sort of missed the bat conversation. There's so many advancements in pitching. Why weren't we thinking of hitting? Now, I will tell you, during the spring, I asked some executives, because there's always something new technology-wise, I asked some executives what's next in baseball, and several of them are on teams that are using torpedo bats, and they didn't mention torpedo bats. And then I came back to them the last few days, and I asked why not, and they said, well, we wanted to keep it to ourselves. So I don't know if teams were thinking they'd get away with it, and then Michael Kay, the Yankees announcer, just let the cat out of the bag. But eventually, I think we were going to notice them. The one thing is, I mean, you really probably wouldn't notice it unless you're told, right?
Right.
You'd have to, once you're told, oh, yeah, that looks different. But without being told, I'm not sure that you would notice it. So, but you're right. I am surprised that we haven't thought more about the bat. But I guess I just always thought the bat is the bat. You really can't change it that much.
Who's the best team in the AL West?
Well, not the Angels, even though they're off to a 4-1.
I mean, look, I look at their number one, and I'm like, there's no way he can be your frontline starter.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, I'm not an Angels fan. I do think the A's are going to be better than anyone. Maybe there's a lot of people actually a little bit on the A's bandwagon. Anyway, I think it's the Rangers. I really like Bruce Bochy and Chris Young. And what I like is what I kind of said earlier. They really were upset with their team last year. They won the World Series 2 years ago, and they weren't going to just rest on their laurels. Some of their young players did. They made some changes. They really put a sense of urgency into that club. Made some shrewd pickups like Jake Berger. I think the Rangers at the end of the day are going to be the best. I'm not sure if Houston's in a little bit of a transition with Tucker and Bregman gone. They'll probably find their usual level. But I think the Rangers are the best team in that division. Houston, Seattle, will battle behind them a little bit. A's will be better, and the Angels will bring up the rear. But I do think the Rangers are the best team in that division.
What do you expect to get from DeGrom? Not often you'll see him behind a frontline guy like Eovaldi on a staff. What do you think you get from DeGrom?
Well, it does sound like, his situation, his injury history. Like I said, I think the hierarchy there is really smart. I would imagine they're going to get a bunch of starts out of him, is hopefully a full season of them. But I bet his innings are going to be a little bit down. Like, I don't think they're just going to let him have all the runway he wants like maybe he used to have. So could he be a 5-dive tie-in pitcher, 6? Yeah, I think I could see that. So if he makes 25 starts, that's a victory in itself. But maybe he's a 150, 160 inning guy. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But I don't see why he couldn't be the usual Jacob DeGrom as long as he's not trying to throw every pitch 100 miles an hour. It sounds like he's sort of come to terms with that. So I think they're going to be very careful, limit his innings, and see how the summer goes. Obviously, it could be different later on, but I think they're going to be very careful with him early on, and I don't see why he can't be as effective as ever as long as he's not trying to throw it through the backstop.
Jesse, it seems like we've been waiting for a couple of years now on Seattle to sort of figure things out and get good and be a contender in that division. Is this the year, or do you just not see that being in the cards for this team?
Well, I do talk to a lot of people that are big fans of Dan Wilson. So maybe things, kind of petered out with Scott Service there at the end. Wilson could be a difference maker. I still see the same problems, though. Great pitching at home, not enough hitting anywhere.
Yeah.
I kind of see the same thing. Now, maybe, Julio Rodriguez was not great last year. He needs to be – I think I picked Rodriguez as the MVP last year. Like, he needs to be in that conversation for them to be really good. And they need to dominate at home. They're off to a 2-4 start at home. They need to dominate at home with that pitching staff and get just enough hitting there, and then do whatever you can on the road, be 500 on the road. But if that ballpark's going to play that big and all that stuff, then you need to dominate. You need to let other hitters come in there and be mentally all messed up because of it. But until I see something different, they feel like the same team. Can pitch, can't hit enough, and they'll be okay, pretty good. But maybe Dan Wilson will be the difference maker. Let's see how that plays out.
I'm a big roster construction. I like acquisitions. I like deadlines. And I'm one of these nerds, Jesse, that likes to fast forward. I was joking with our listeners the other day. I kind of always look at potential guys that could be available at the deadline for teams to get better. Who's a couple of teams that have prime candidates, if they're not where they want to be, that you could see having some key pieces down the road here? And the Braves come to mind, but it's too good of a well-run franchise. But I look at the Marlins and with what happens with Alcantara and Sandy and see what happens. But are there some prime candidates that you think could have some guys available at the deadline?
Oh, absolutely. I'll give you one team. I'm actually writing about them for ESPN.com. The St. Louis Cardinals would be at the top.
Oh, I think they're going to be good, though.
Well, if they're good, that's a really tough decision for their front office because they are in a transition phase, and they are going to give a lot of runway to their young players, which could actually, end up hurting them a little bit in the standings. I don't know. I mean, they really need to be really good. Though I think the front office, John Mozeliak's on his way out. Maybe he wants to see one last winner. The other complication with the Cardinals is, 3 or 4 of their main guys have no trade clauses. But still, there's no better guy to have to trade at the deadline than a closer. And Ryan Helsley is one of the best.
Yeah.
You can get a ton for a closer at the deadline. I don't know. If they're just okay in an okay division, that's going to be a tough call. If they're, they need to be 10 games up or 10 games out, because if they're in the middle there, that's going to be tough. So I start with Ryan Helsley, but Miles Michaelis might finally waive his no trade. Who knows about Sonny Gray, Arenado? There's Wilson Contreras. There's so many options there if they're out of it. Some with no trade, some without. I put the Cardinals at the top list. Of course, the Marlins. I mean, I did a poll of executives. Sandy Alcantara, I think, won the poll, most likely to be traded. Luis Robert, the White Sox could have a couple pieces. So those are.
He makes me. Look, I'm glad you brought him up. What is it? What am I missing with him that people seem to fawn over?
Who's that?
Roberts.
He's just got a really good looking baseball body and a really good skill set.
Yeah, okay.
A really good skill set, but he gets injured, and he does have a flaw in his game. He's got a lot of chase. It's gotten a little bit better, but look, he can run, he can hit, he can do a lot when he's healthy. He's had one good year. I don't disagree that from afar you're like, wait, what's so special? Which is why the Sox have held on to him, because they've not heard in trade talks what they want in return. It's not been an elite offer for him because he hasn't stayed healthy and put together a really good season for a couple of years now. So people think it's in there. If he shows up in the first half, he'll get moved, and maybe the Sox will get what they want from him. But it has been very inconsistent, mostly because of injuries.
Genius to be having the Cardinals coming up in this acquisition piece. I know I'm not crazy now. So who is the best team for you in the Central?
In the AL or NL?
NL.
In the NL Central, I do think it's the Cubs. Not just because Milwaukee's off to a bad start. I just think pound for pound, the Cubs are the most talented. Their lineup is already showing up. It's lengthy. It can really overcome some issues. Last year they had bullpen issues, but they're handing their bullpen some big leads so far. Three guys have made a big difference, starting with Kyle Tucker, obviously the first star on the Cubs in a while. Pete Armstrong, their center fielder, is a real talent, can be a difference maker because of his legs. And then they have a catching duo, especially their starter, Miguel Amaya, really has come into. They have a 1 through 9 that can do more damage than anybody else in the division. There's some other question marks on the team, but the division's not great. I do think the Reds will be there. Milwaukee's still going to be there as well. It's a tough call, but I do think the Cubs will come out on top. Council's second year should be much better than his first, and just knowing the team and the ballpark played really big last year. Maybe it plays small this year, but I think he understands his roster better. There's more speed. Milwaukee's still really good. The Reds are going to be better with Francona, but I'd say pound for pound, the Cubs are the best team in the division, at least on paper.
Always spectacular. Anytime we get a chance to get you, Jesse, we appreciate it. Best in the business.
You got it, guys. Anytime. Be well.
That's Jesse Rogers, ESPN. We appreciate his time, as always.
He's sensational.
Just the Rolodex is endless there.
And you can go, like, who else is wondering about? I was afraid to ask.
Yeah?
Yeah, because when I told you the other day, I rolled like.
Oh, about Gunner?
No, off trade deadline acquisitions.
Yeah, because we're a week into the season, so I was like, well.
This is going to sound horrible, but I'm honest. It's because I always, it's a foregone conclusion that the Dodgers are going to be in the hunt.
Yeah,
I want to see what's available.
Sure, yeah. See what you might have to choose from.
I look at
to shore up some places.
Yeah, and I did the rundown of all the teams in the AL, and I'm like, there's no great team in the AL. So then I look and see what they can get.
Yeah,
Alcantara's the guy, though.
Yeah,
yes, because you look at him 3 years ago, and you're like, this guy's an ace.
Yeah.
But I keep waiting on that staff in Florida, like, actually
to help
do something.
Help him win it all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should have asked him about the AL, too, because
it's the Marlins. I don't think it's happening.
You got the Guardians and the Royals and
I don't
the Twins.
Yeah, the Twins are off to a slow start. I don't know who's going to come away there.
I don't know. I kind of like Kansas City, but I hate going against the Guardians, especially after how they just opened with them. But again, it's early.
Underwhelming, to say the least, in the AL Central.
Maybe not, though. What wins it, 84, 85?
That's pretty underwhelming.
Yeah, I get it.
Anything under 90 is kind of like,
Should I be talking about the Tigers?
Should you?
Oh, no. They were pretty good.
Yeah.
But they came from off the grid.
Yeah, it's hard to believe in some of the off-the-radar teams.
I know you don't love it at the top, but it may be the most competitive.
Oh, for sure. It's going to be hyper competitive, but I don't think there's a great team in that division.
I don't.
But you don't think there's a great team in the entire league?
No, but I do worry if the Yankees go out and get a frontline starter.
So that's going to be interesting. Like if they're in play for Sandy.
I don't trust Evan Williams.
No. I don't. I mean,
that's a tough ballpark for him to pitch in.
Yeah. Do you try? I mean, but the Yankees don't have anybody.
And he never has easy outings. Like as a closer.
Yeah.
It's like always.
Those are the guys that are the worst. The closers that you're just.
You see what he did against his old team? He almost flubbed that one.
Yeah.
Now I get the nerves though, and it's like opening day, but he almost blew a 4-run lead.
Give me easy outings over stuff. I just like navigate it well. That's all I want to see.
Ravi here for out on Kenley Jansen.
Yeah, no, I am on Kenley Jansen. I wasn't a big fan of his experience.
Wow, you got our leftovers. Enjoy that.
Well, you got my leftovers, but they were still good. And his name was Mookie Betts.
And he's gonna be in the running for
still mad about it.
MVP.
I always got to bring up.
He's pretty clutch last night.
I always got to bring up old stuff.
Sorry. 24-hour statute of limitations.
Like usually,
go ahead and run RBI last night.
You break up with somebody, you want them to do poorly.
And I don't want to see the Braves struggle. So 0-6, I'm very sad.
Yeah, that's a tough start.
I like when the Braves are good.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I grew up in kind of that era.
I jinxed them, but I didn't jinx them because I didn't say anything that wasn't true. For a couple years since the World's like they just cannot.
They can't stay healthy.
And even the year they won it, they had to overcome injuries.
Well, Acuna was out that year, wasn't he? Yeah. I mean, they've struggled. I mean, Acuna specifically, but they've struggled with injuries for a long time. Don't worry though. Their ace is the famously healthy Chris Sale. So it'll be fine.
Boy, you stay petty. Stay petty.
We'll be back with more Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next. Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, where they've got more April specials. They got the Southwest Melt, they got the Portobello and Swiss, and they've got a rainwater cocktail. Come to Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Check it out. Come hungry, leave happy.
Yeah, and I asked because I almost got it to go yesterday, but I did not because of the baseball game getting moved. But
chips.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's right. You heard me. I processed through that whole thing.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna pull the trigger. I thought you were gonna get something.
I thought about it.
Pull that cross.
But then it got close to 11, and then it got late, and I was like,
I gotta get stepping.
But then I felt guilty. I was like, I probably should say something because I got his hopes up. Because he was going to pull a few strings for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hey, we can do a sandwich. You want it to go?
Yeah. He's cool, though.
I love that dude.
Yeah, he's cool.
So he like from day one.
Yeah.
And he got me. Like he didn't. So if I came in and there was like more than a couple people, he would, he didn't find it weird that I would just sit in the corner. He was a good dude. And we talked a ton.
Looking out for you.
Yeah. I like him. Very, what's the word? He's measured.
Oh, yeah. He's pretty chill.
And he gave me a good Indian recommendation.
Oh, yeah. We got to go check that out.
Ooh. Go back and revisit the website. I perused last night or night before I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. We got to go check it out.
And you turned me on to paneer. I had no idea paneer was cheese.
Oh, yeah. Paneer's great.
Yeah. I get the same 4 things every time I eat Indian.
Yeah. Paneer's my go-to.
Yeah, I'd say 4. That's a pretty good rotation, though.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So you go, what?
Are you a same thing guy at restaurants?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, no, mix it up.
Well, so.
Even at the fancy place you like downtown? Because he's always got to do different menu.
No, so I let him do whatever he wants.
Okay.
So, like, there's certain places where I trust them to just whatever they are doing, I'm cool with. And which is a lot for me because I'm kind of picky about certain things, especially food-wise. Like I don't really like mushrooms that much. I don't really like certain vegetables and the way they're cooked. But whatever they bring me, I'm cool. Like we'll do a tasting menu or something. I'm in. I'm good. Because I don't have allergies, right? So like, I don't have to worry about certain things. It's just all preference.
I think I'm the only thing I'm allergic to is non-competitors and penicillin.
I was gonna say BS.
Man, yeah.
You know what I'm allergic to? BS doesn't stand for what you think it is. It's people that need babysitters. That's the BS.
Oh, yeah.
I'm out on it.
You know what?
Is that why you get so mad at Shane?
Do you know what I'm allergic to?
Sometimes, yeah.
Hey, I'm super low on I went through because I had
On
we have
mustard?
so many condiments.
Yeah, 'cause you had-
Did I send you the picture of the fridge?
no, but you told me you had like 6 kinds of mustard.
Yeah, they're all having to turn upside down,
Ooh,
which
that's a
I'm
bad place
just
to
telling
be.
you,
Yeah.
for my OCD,
You don't like it.
stop doing that.
I'm gonna turn it upside down.
Oh,
You got to get it closer to the top so it's easier to squeeze out.
What do you turn upside down?
because people can't apparently just do the shake.
Yeah.
Shane, you'd be good at this. You just like that. And then it comes out. You don't have to put it in the fridge upside down.
Nah, I prefer
Because
it, though.
every time you open the fridge door,
Mhm.
rattle, rattle, rattle.
Yeah, it's fine.
No, it's not. It's not. That drives me up.
I'm gonna be that feels like a you problem. That feels like maybe a hill we don't die on.
Just give it the old shake, and it's fine. Especially
Like the
some of the
Harlem
stuff
Shake?
we buy in bulk, like ranch or ketchup, because we have a 6-year-old who's an absolute hollow leg. That stuff doesn't go upside down. It's too big.
yeah.
But yeah, mustard is slim pickings.
You gotta get
I did 2 corned beefs, and that took up a ton of the stone ground because
yeah.
it was a binder.
Mhm.
And the Dijon doesn't stand a chance because it's my go-to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yellow mustard's fine.
It's not the best.
I use it as a binder.
It's okay, but it's not a go-to condiment by any means.
Yeah.
I'm never thinking like, oh, you know what this needs? Yellow mustard.
He said I'm an upside down guy. Yeah, so far we couldn't live together.
Oh, 100% we can.
Which is fine,
We
but-
kill each other. Like maybe a couple days if like one of us just like needed a place to crash, like things were a little rough, but
Ain't no long term.
no, long term I think we would struggle to live together. I do.
There's nothing worse. You open the fridge and hear clunk, 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 clunk.
Because I also struggle with people being like up the wall about things I don't understand.
So then
So what are you saying?
So I mean, like the rattling would never occur to me as being something that would be bothersome. So if you didn't express that explicitly like you just did, and you just kept turning the mustards back upside down or right side up,
Yeah.
I'd be like, what the hell, man? I'm just trying to get the last bit of mustard. Like if I didn't know it was the rattle that bothered you,
No, you really just went to the HE double hockey sticks on me?
I would, yeah. I would
That's normal.
I would get super frustrated if you do like you have to spell it out for me. If it's a weird thing that bothers you or a thing that I don't understand, I need you to spell it out for me. Otherwise, it's gonna make me mad.
All right.
But once you spell it out, I'm cool. If
So-
it's like, hey,
So Ravi out on mustard.
So if you guys lived together, then and you guys were like, you
we'd
know,
be
you
in living
needed
color.
you needed time apart, but then you worked together. Where the hell would you go?
We'd have separate corners of the house. Be like he could stay in the basement and watch, his bad Russian TV, and then
Who sang that song called
Ebony and Ivory.
No, idiot. Was it Separate Lives?
Oh, that's you and Shane. My bad.
Separate ways, journey.
No, but that's a good one.
That's a good
Separate
song.
Lives, I think, was the movie where Oh Boy was the ballet dancer.
I haven't seen a lot of.
Phil Collins sings it.
Yeah, Phil Collins and Marilyn Martin.
Yep, there's a woman. That's a good song.
It's apparently the theme from White Knights.
Yep, that's the Gregory Hines. My dad almost named my middle name is because of that dude.
Who?
Gregory Hines.
Is that the tap dancer?
Whatever.
No, is it?
He danced in that movie. I don't know if that's what he did in his real life.
I think Gregory Hines is a tap dancer.
I used to confuse him with Richard Pryor till I figured out he wasn't really funny.
Yeah, those are different people.
They favor. Gregory Hines and Richard Pryor?
Yeah,
Oh, get your Google game right.
they're different people.
No bleep.
Wait, what's favor?
I told you, we say favor like look-alike. Like
Oh, who's we?
my family.
Oh, okay. Like the royal we? I really didn't know what you meant.
It's fine.
I was like, you favor Gregory Hines over Richard Pryor?
Like everything else, I speak Portuguese.
So so let's do one pick here because I do think that Nebraska Georgetown line is super weird.
I was floored.
So that's one where in our different approaches to this, I'd be like, that line's wrong. Nebraska shouldn't be 7.5-point favorites over anybody.
And I looked at that and I was like, oh God, you got to lay that.
You're like, hey, they know something.
Yeah, lay it.
So I think I'm leaning towards you on this one because I don't think Georgetown's good.
Don't you think Georgetown's better than 7?
Yes, I do. But that's why I think I'm leaning towards you on, hey, there's a reason.
Mustard.
There's a reason so I'm taking Nebraska minus the 7.5 tonight.
And it's up. It's 8.5 now.
Is it?
Yeah.
I just refreshed this.
Well, refresh it again. I keep telling you, don't use ESPN. They rot.
That's up to 8.5 now. My word. Goodness gracious.
What time is Butler and Boise?
And Boise is at 6 p.m.
So there's no early hoops today. So thank the Lord there's early baseball.
Oh, always early baseball.
No, it's not. I don't know what they're doing with the schedule, but there's afternoon baseball again today.
Is there?
Yeah. How's your app working?
It's working now.
Yeah, it's still not super user friendly.
It's not, but it's not.
You need to let me just be able to back out and go back without having to go back to the main.
I agree.
Right?
I don't love the app. I'm thinking about. I haven't tried to use it on my computer yet, but I'm wondering if the experience is better. Because that's how I used to watch MLB TV. It was just on my laptop.
Yeah. So I went to the radio broadcast for baseball yesterday, just for a multitude of reasons.
That's what I did too.
Anywho,
what?
My computer is much better at using the Husker radio app than my phone.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a difference between those two things, right?
No, you're exactly right.
Don't use my guy against me. I'm the SAT guy.
Look at the back of your computer. What does that have on there?
An apple. Oh, okay. Wow, I fell for the old banana.
I walked you right into that one.
The old banana. I'm like,
you're like, what's on the back of my computer?
That's not how I said it. I didn't say anything. Appreciate you making me sound dummy.
You like apples?
I don't think that's it.
I don't know. I know sometimes the apps behave differently on the different platforms on Android versus Apple. So I was sort of being serious, but then I saw an opportunity for a joke, so I took it.
Well, that's on the back of your computer.
You like apples? We were talking about Good Will Hunting.
Yeah. You hunt these things in your mouth.
You like them apples?
Yeah, whatever.
Well, how is you supposed to eat apples in your mouth? But
was that like falling for the banana in the tailpipe there?
I'm so over you. It's not even funny.
I think J.K. Simmons from Oz was more of a banana in the tailpipe guy, but
that show was terrifying.
Yeah, that's why I didn't watch it. Like, that's not up my alley.
All right, so Kyle must have had the same problems everybody else did. Went to sign up for MLB TV on Roku, and it was $30 a month. Sucks because YouTube TV and MLB Network can't figure their
stuff out.
Kyle ain't afraid, is he?
Yeah.
Dude's just reckless. So if he's a T-Mobile guy, you can get it for free, Kyle.
Yeah,
I don't know who your radio provider or your phone provider.
I think you had to do that by the first.
Oh, is it over?
Yeah, you had to do it by the first, but I couldn't get. I had the same problem as him, as I couldn't get the app on my Roku devices.
So I downloaded the app on my TV.
Did you?
Which you told me to do.
Yeah, I tried to. Do you have a Roku?
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't find mine. Maybe that was part of the glitch.
Just go to the App Store and type it in.
Okay.
I tried to do that with Big Ten Plus, but apparently that was like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
Dude, you like.
I don't know. I couldn't. I like I said, I was on the radio broadcast as well. It was much more user-friendly experience.
What
surprise! It's 2025. I've been watching MLB TV for 20 years. Literally 20 years.
Do you know my screen stayed on save password for the entire time?
What happened?
You think that's funny?
It's kind of funny.
You know I'm nuts, right? Low key.
Yeah.
I got my pace game on for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Next time that happens,
I'm like, it's 2:34. It's 2:37. Like, what are we doing?
Next time that happens, Damon.
What are we doing?
Nothing. We're not doing anything. Not investing in the app, apparently.
Next time that happens, here's some advice.
Dude, your ass better cool. There are some days I hate your guts. I mean, that's just the best way for me to say it.
Good morning again.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Hey, what's on the back of your computer?
Funny guy.
Oh, you didn't know?
So he put the quarter in.
It's Goodwill Hunt.
And I'm the one that told him to download that too, by the way.
I don't put the quarter in. I don't know what he does. I think he like scrounges around the bowling alley and like picks up a quarter, puts it in the vending machine.
Pennies.
I don't do it. I thought you were out on copper. What happened, man?
Well, apparently they're made of zinc, so there goes my retirement fund.
Who told you that?
I'm
telling you, our listeners.
Well, actually,
They're copper plated. They're zinc cores, though.
He said, "Well, actually." Now he's calling Steven our name. Well, actually.
Come on, man.
They're zinc.
That's what Will actually said. I believe.
With all the way that, with as much copper that gets stole at construction sites, there's no way they're making pennies out of copper.
Stole. You kind of did the texted on me there.
No, I don't
You
think
added
so.
the ED on there.
Shoot, with the way you make me feel, I was probably thinking about vodka. Stolies. It's probably what I was thinking about. Stolakanaya.
Strike me more as a
Which, by the way, is extremely overrated.
Strike me more as a Barton's guy.
Wow, really?
McCormick's?
Maybe not since I was 21. I mean,
Come on, man. 21.
21.
21, maybe 22. You know, wait next year. Just make sure.
Yeah, Barton's. Savage. Shane, let's take a break. I think I'm going to find you some picks. See if I can make you any money.
Well, if you don't have any picks.
Who goes TK? TK's a well-actually guy, too. He's just much younger. Pennies have been at least 98% zinc since the 90s. You weren't even born in the 90s, TK.
Yeah, they're just like copper plated. It's like bad
I don't
jewelry.
need you to affirm anything. I need you to relax. I've had enough of your snarks in 701.
Like your guy, Aaron Rodgers, RELAX, relax.
He's my guy.
He is now.
Me.
Although apparently Joe Milton's on the market. You could trade for him. No? You want Joe Milton? I'm trying to help. I'm trying to find quarterback solutions for you. Because I don't think Jackson Dart's going to be there at 21.
You're so encouraging.
I'm trying to be helpful.
You're a joy.
I'm a problem solver.
You know you're a problem.
It's Hurrdat Sports Live. More coming up next. We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live, reminding you to get to supernovas.com to get your tickets. They're back in town again this weekend, and it is the place to be on Saturday. Make sure you get out to supernovas.com to get tickets for their April 5th match at CHI Health Center. It's pink out night, so make sure you are there at supernovas.com.
Found a new mustard, maybe.
What kind of mustard are we doing?
Well, apparently Ken E, not my man KP, it's called, what is it called? Coleman's? He said it has some bite to it.
Do you want your mustard to have bite to it?
Well, I have mustards for that, but I'll try it.
Give it a go?
Yeah, I think yellow mustard is grossly overrated.
Yeah, I don't know anybody's go-to out except for maybe on like a hot dog that their go-to is yellow.
I mean, there's a lot of people that use. Maybe people use it for a binder because it's cheap.
Maybe, or maybe they don't know the difference.
But the last couple of years, I think mayo has become the flavor of the day for binder.
I'm not a mayo guy.
I mean, we have two.
I can do it if it's so. I'm not a like slather mayo on a sandwich guy. I don't like that where it gets like kind of thick and you like bite into it. Not a fan. If people use it as like an aioli or as like a sauce base or something, I can deal with that. But I just don't want like plain ass mayo just slopped on a sandwich.
What's it called again?
Plain ass mayo.
like grown arse men.
Yeah.
Plain mayo.
Yeah, I'm not here for the plain ass mayo. Not about that life. So, yeah, that's where it gets a little dicey for me. But maybe people don't know that you have more mustard options.
Well, I mean, it's a big section in the grocery store.
I know, but like if they've never tried it, maybe they're a little intimidated. They don't want to go outside what they know.
Yeah, I'll try just about anything. Although I've kind of dumbed it down because I don't eat sandwiches really.
Yeah, I'll say you probably don't eat as much anymore.
No, but I will give a dab between a piece of meat and cheese.
Oh sure, yeah. You're not going yellow for that. You're going Dijon.
No, I've been on this one horseradish, but it's almost out too.
Like a horseradish mixed with mustard?
Stone ground, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, it's fire. It's Plockman's. Better known as Plotchman's. But it's in too little of a jar, so I need to
expand.
Yeah, it's a little cute jar.
Yeah,
something I wouldn't use for a binder because you do one big piece of meat and it's done.
That's the whole jar.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah, we do have day baseball today.
What do we got?
I'm pretty happy about that. Well, we got one early with the Rangers and the Reds. How about that?
What time are they off today?
Grain and Lighter go at 11:40. Royals and Brewers. Ooh, our man C-Hap's going to be in a dilemma. Maybe he can watch it during the show because Royals are at KC.
Oh, I'm sure he'll have it on the
Ragans and Peralta.
You know me, big Cole Reagans guy.
Oh, they will lose again today.
You think so?
Yeah. Brewers will get their second win. We got a good one with Skeens going against the Rays. There's some good matchups today.
You think Skeens is going to be dialed in after his big GQ shoot? He's going to be all right?
Man. There's something I want to say, but it's no. There's things for when you have things that are like going on with your body.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 2025, and those things shouldn't be an issue, especially if you're rich. Just get it
Get some things cleaned up.
Let's get it cleaned up.
Yeah.
Who else? Nothing good. Twins and Red Sox or White Sox. You got Lopez who needs to bounce back. Nats and Blue Jays. It's a ton of day. Most of the slate is daytime.
Yeah. You got a big slate of daytime.
Yeah, there's nothing really going on at night except you got Gallen and Rodon, which will be a good one with D-backs and Yankees, and then Elder and Snell go tonight. Dodgers minus 245 over the Braves. Do you ever think he'd see a day?
Dude, that's rough.
Woof.
You got Scooble going today.
Yeah. Dodgers got Tariq in his opener. Hopefully,
yeah, he got touched up a bit.
And that's a great matchup because he's got Castillo.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Over at T-Mobile Park in Seattle.
Yeah, the only thing I care that's going on
it's always going to be safe for me.
Yeah, I get it. They're playing at T-Mobile in Nebraska, right? Or Georgetown, right? What venue are they playing?
Tonight?
Yeah.
No, they're MGM.
Is it the Grand?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I've seen all the goddamn promos.
Yeah. I think they're hosting everything.
How about in game them just doing like stadium poolside advertisements?
Yeah,
I'm like, oh man, this Vegas market is paying for this thing.
They got to get that NIL money up somehow.
Well, that thing looks sweet though.
It does.
I don't know if I'd sit out there with all those people.
You certainly would not.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You don't like people that much.
It's just too busy and it's loud.
Yeah. I kind of get you. I give you a hard time for it, but I don't like being places that are super busy either.
You kind of give me a hard time?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Not for that in particular that often, because I get it.
You got to parse through what you give me a hard time for.
Yeah,
that's cute.
There's other stuff that I certainly
that I've earned more.
Yeah, I think you've got a little bit of a
that's cute.
Lesser leg to stand on that one.
Yeah. Take the Brewers today.
You like the Brewers?
There's your winner.
Any other winners?
Nope, that's it.
All right.
I like to keep it safe.
I'm not going to lock it, but I do like Nebraska minus the 7.5.
I like it too.
Because that line's too goofy.
Not as much as I like Boise.
Mine's 8.5 now, I guess.
Yeah, it's creeping.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm always willing to bet against Georgetown, though.
It just didn't seem right.
No, I thought that would be 3.5, maybe.
Yeah, I thought 4.
You know, I'm always willing to bet on Georgetown sucking, though. Like, that's always the thing that I trust.
So I didn't get I didn't really laugh like everybody else did. I didn't get the Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles playing hoops from Coach Cooley. Because if you weren't going to play any defense and you were going to score,
yeah, you want
somebody would have to be able to see.
I think
now, allegedly, Stevie Wonder can really see.
Maybe that's what he meant. Stevie Wonder was on offense. Ray Charles is on defense. Stevie Wonder's pretending to be blind.
Now, maybe if he would have thought it was like Stevie Wonder versus Jordan, maybe. But Stevie Wonder versus Ray would not be entertaining, and they certainly wouldn't be scoring. Would they?
What's that story about a blind squirrel?
I don't know. Something about a nut. Does he get one?
I do think. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it's theirs. I never got that because of they still can smell. Like, don't nuts smell?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, then you can be blind and still find it.
Maybe that's what he meant with Stevie Wonder. Just sniff out the hoop.
Why are you trying to give Cooley some grace?
I don't know. I don't even like
Ravi here for Ed Cooley.
I don't even like Ed Cooley that much.
Me neither.
I'm getting backed into this Mick Cronin corner again. Apparently, I'm a big Mick Cronin fan.
You earned that.
Well, I don't know about all that. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We'll be back tomorrow for Hurrdat Sports Live.